Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. Hi, I'm Dave. How you guys doing? As we are going to have a great night. The awesome, the talented, the legendary, the mustached, the bearded, and the gorgeous haired Lon Strickler will be our guest tonight on the show. And we are going to get into some seriously good monster stories for you tonight. But before we kick that off, let us say hello to each and every one of you, including Kitty Cattywhack in the gold medal position, race fan with a silver, Trucker Andrew with a bronze medal tonight. Good to have you all here, everybody. As we scroll on down for our roll call, there's T-Bone, my man. How you doing, buddy? Paramarv, how you doing? Paramarv will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. That way. That way. That way. All right, moving on. We say hello to Tim Mothman and his goatee. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because Lon Strickler says, I will not come on unless the lube makes me nice and smooth. So Mel is over at Lon's house lubing up his fingers as we speak. Thank you, Mel, for the great job you're doing. Road Flare, how are you? Lil Cam on YouTube, bench pressed 585 pounds, 67 times before tonight's show. He's jacked up. Thank you for kicking off the super chat. The super chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Robert Lamoth, how are you? Nice to have you here as we scroll on down. Michael Morris, the attorney at large. How you doing, brother? Nice to have you here. Thunderhead, Lisa Smith, and Necessary Dialogue. Good to have you all here. There's my lady, Mama Catherine. Mwah. I love you, my dear. I hope you had a great day. I know you love it when Lon is on. So we're going to make this a good show just for you tonight, my dear. Love you, Mama Catherine. Love her dearly. She is amazing. And let's see here. Werewolf, how are you? Nice to have you here as we say hello to Stephanie Kenny Blankenship and Jaquetta. Nice to see you, my dear. Scrolling on down as we have Mr. Cowley is here. Mr. Cowley will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. As we make our way down, we say hi to Shaman Code or Shaman Code. And let's go on down. Let's continue scrolling. And we'll scroll some more for Integrationing. How are you? Algaray over on Twitch. So excited about Lon Strickler being on the show tonight that he literally ran 44 laps around the track, beating all the phantoms and monsters by 14 laps in a time limit of 10 minutes. Good job, Algaray. Good job. Scrolling on down, we have Aussie Boss Tiger. How's tomorrow looking? Give me an update. And Frankie B, nice to see you. And who is next on our list here? I'm Hardcore over on X. Good to see you. Hi there, Carol Amario. East Coast Turnaround on X. Yes, Lon Strickler is a legend. His beard is even legendarier more. I know that's not a word. Legendarier. Lon's beard. Legendarier. Okay, that one didn't work, so we'll just scroll on down. We'll scroll on down. Mickey G, how are you? Stargazer, thanks for coming on in. And who is next here before we kick off the radio side? Let's get one more in here. Just one more. There it is. Spiraling 69. How are you? Hold on, guys. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We are preparing from phantomsandmonsters.com. Lon Strickler, who is here for Strange Days. He's here the final Monday of every month. We are on roll call on our YouTube side, about 38 seconds from launching tonight's show, as we say hello to Ozzy Ange. How are you, my friend? And let's see here. We have Bigfoot Fades. How you doing? Nice to have you back. It's been a couple of weeks. And who else is here? Let's see here. Jay Trueseeker, nice to see you. And I think we're caught up. Everybody. Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out at spacedoutradio.com. We got about 5 seconds before we're going to launch. So I need you to do me a favor. Throw those horns up, everybody. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin knows. We're together. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Caribou Con. Join us at cariboucon.com for a great paranormal weekend here in the beautiful Caribou region of British Columbia. cariboucon.com, September 18th through 20th. We have an amazing show tonight, just like always. Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com is here for another edition of Strange Days. We do it near the end of each month. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will join us for a spooky story. Follow that up. We got a great jam-packed UFO report with Grant Baker and UFO Max. So let's get right to it. Lon Strickler is a renowned researcher in the paranormal. He's an author and the creator of phantomsandmonsters.com, one of the internet's most respected resources for real-life encounters with cryptids, UFOs, spirits, and unexplained phenomena. With decades of investigative experience, Lon has dedicated his life documenting eyewitness reports and analyzing evidence from across North America and the world. His work dives deep into chilling encounters with creatures like Mothman, Dogman, winged humanoids, and other unexplained species, making him a trusted voice in the world of Fortean research. His website, phantomsandmonsters.com. You can find all of his books on his website or on Amazon. Lon Strickler, Strange Days. Here we go again. Your hair looks perfect for tonight.
Well, thank you, Dave.
Oh, you're actually not rolling your eyes at me for once. That's actually very nice. I'm not used to this right now.
Yeah, well, we'll keep it civil.
Get it short and replay it and replay it and replay it some more. So, Mr. Strickler, I hear you have a brand new book out.
Yeah, I do. It's Glimmerman, cloaked beings that move among us, It's something that we've been working on for quite a while. Myself, Kyle Philbin, and Cam Hale, and we did the book together. It's actually, they kind of got started with it, started getting reports of these translucent beings about a dozen years ago or so. We started working together, putting cases, and putting them on the blogs and them talking about it on their podcast. But we put it all together, came out about 3 weeks ago, and it's doing quite well, actually. So I'm happy with it.
For our audience who may not know what Glimmerman is, could you please describe him?
Well, it's first thing I got to say is, if you're familiar with the Predator movies and the alien being in the Predator movies that has the ability to cloak into like a translucent being, it's very similar to that. And that's what people describe. Many times they talk about it having yellow eyes occasionally, clicking, make the clicking sounds like in the film. And there's just a lot of similarities to it, though we don't know if it's alien. We don't know what it is. But it's definitely something that, or an energy or a being that has the ability to show up like that. People describe it as looking kind of like glassine looking, or a heat wave or water or something. Many times it's seen by hunters, especially those who are in deer stands and up in the trees, and they kind of see movement on another tree, and they watch it, and they get this outline of a human-like being. And but that's not the only place. I mean, we've been getting sightings residential, people seeing them in their yards or just running across them in different places. So and actually we're still getting reports in, so we'll be doing another book. We possibly will be, but I don't know at this point. But it's something people have been talking about in more recent years, and I kind of believe this is really the first book that's come out with a lot of original and sourced reports about the phenomena.
This book that you put together, how many encounters are people having with these said Glimmermen?
I don't know how many we have in the book. I'd say probably between 70 to 80 of them are in the book. Wow. But it's not like it's a huge wave or anything. It's just that, people will see this. They put out an inquiry as to what it is, and many times they mistake it for something else, possibly a ghost or a spirit or a manifestation of something else. But when they start seeing the humanoid effect of it, and the way it kind of creeps around in the trees and doesn't really engage with people, it's almost like the beings are just watching and learning, and whatever that is, whatever they do. But it's a real enigma at this point. But hopefully we're going to start getting more and more as a result of the book, more and more accounts. And I know people are seeing them. It's just one of those things that I just don't, people don't know what it is, and they're just not going to say a whole lot about it. And fortunately, we had a few people who were brave enough to come forward with it. And so we had enough for a book, and we'll continue on that. And it's an ongoing investigation.
Has anybody ever been attacked by one of these Glimmermen?
When you see attacked, a physical attack, no, I think people are kind of freaked out when they notice it, and it just keeps, even though it's hard to see the eyes. I mean, they just don't know what to think about this being. It's in their vicinity and watches them, and in many cases it sticks around, and people do hear the clicking and other sounds that it makes in the woods at night. So there's some corporeal aspect to it, but for the most part, it just seems to hang around and, make itself known on occasion, and that's what we're trying to figure out what it is.
A lot of reports that I've read on this is, and you mentioned it already, is that it stalks people.
Mm-hmm.
But it never seems to do anything violent towards them. What do you think it's doing when it's stalking people?
I don't know. I mean, is it just checking behavior? Is it just what do beings do that watch people? I mean, a lot of times, let's just say you got a shadow being. Well, there's a distinction there because they've got an agenda. And now, does this being have an agenda? Is there something about them watching and just following people around? We don't know. We just don't know. And but hopefully we can come up with some answers.
Well, I hope that you do, because that's what I love about this field that we're in, Lon, is so many times we have these incredible encounters that just do not make sense. They really shift people's reality to everything that is truly going on. And here's another example of that with the Glimmerman. I mean, the best case that I know of is Jan Maccabee, where she actually caught a photo of it. This was the wife of late scientist Bruce Maccabee, and she was up in her deer hunting stand, just like you said. Many of them happen in deer hunting stands. When she heard something moving through the trees, she, being a deer hunter, you don't move. You have to learn patience and stillness because the deer are so aware of any sort of movement in the forest. So she moves her eyes over and she sees this glimmering creature staring at her from the next tree. I mean, that's kind of the way it happens with these encounters. They sneak up. I don't even know if the creature saw her, and I don't even think she knows if the creature saw her because of the camouflage she was wearing.
Yeah, her account is probably the original account that most of this is based on. And but the one thing about this phenomena is that it doesn't vary a whole lot. It's very, for the most part, her encounter is very much the same as everybody else's. Of course, there's going to be some differences, but yeah, it's just when I first heard about it, I didn't really think much of it. I thought maybe it was like a ghost or some type of hidden energy. But as time going on, and people started realizing that they were seeing something that was quite unusual, then the reports started coming in. So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. The cryptids and the paranormal are never going to be a moot point. There's always going to be something else that pops up that we just don't know about, and we're going to take some time and look into it and hopefully get answers. But yeah, this is kind of something that's kind of raised its ugly head in recent years, and and there'll be more. I'm quite sure there'll be more beyond that.
When you look at this creature, are they seen in certain areas, or are they spread out like a Bigfoot or a Dogman?
Oh yeah, they're everywhere. I mean, we're getting them in residential areas now too. Now, I don't know, really believe we've had many in urban areas and cities and such, but in liminal areas where there's abandoned buildings and other things, yeah, people have seen them there. So it kind of seems to hang out in areas that aren't too crowded. And of course, in the woods and such, and in wilderness. But yeah, it doesn't seem to be too busy or too active in areas where there are a lot of people.
Please describe, Lon, as we're talking about your brand new book here that you have out with Kyle A. Filson and Cameron Hale called Glimmerman, Cloaked Beings That Move Among Us. Talk about the heat shimmering portion of this.
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, they're the first thing they notice is that the shimmering being itself, the translucency, though they can kind of see through it, the waves are distinguishable, by sight. And it's kind of one of those things like if you look directly at it, it kind of camouflages more so that if you're kind of catching in a peripheral sight, where you can actually see something moving about. But yeah, that the shimmering is that's the distinctive aspect of it. And, whatever technology this thing's used, or maybe it's something that's inherent to it. That's something we just don't understand. So, is it an ultra-terrestrial? Probably. Is it extraterrestrial? Could be. So, we just don't, or could it be a cryptid or something else that just finds a way to maintain some type of camouflage?
You mentioned that urban areas are starting to get this. I always thought that they happen in forests.
No, it's we've been having them in what like I consider a liminal area where it's an abandoned area or someplace where people just don't congregate like they used to, and maybe they feel safe there, but they seem to do, as far as being in an urban area, that's probably as close as it comes. A lot of times they'll show up around residential areas that are in the woods or in the outdoors or in more rural areas. But they kind of like it just seems like they like to hang around in these liminal areas where there's just it's hard to describe, where they just seem to show up, congregate the best they can, watch what's around them. And that's basically it at this point.
Why some people who've had interactions with these things, man, they say that like almost like they could feel them, Lon, like they could feel the energy.
I think they can connect with them somewhat. We hear that in cryptid sightings as well. When people have encounters with Bigfoot or Dogman or something, or Mothman, where they do feel that they connect with them in some degree. They can hear them communicating or trying to communicate, or maybe it's something that's some type of mind speak. But in many cases, as with cryptids and other supernatural beings, there always seems to be a small type of connection there somehow. So yeah, many times people will say that they're around them. They know there's something's around the area, but they just can't pinpoint until they finally do see this thing. So it's just something else that we're looking into.
Sorry about that. Are people seeing them daytime or nighttime, or like most cryptids at dusk?
It's mostly during the day. Yeah, it's mostly during the day.
That surprises me.
Yeah, it is kind of different compared to what other cryptids or other phenomena, kind of hiding in the shadows. But these things, that's probably why they use the camouflage, so they can move around during the day or attempt to move around. But, their agenda or why they do it or the reasons for doing it are just unknown to us this time.
How big are they?
They're usually normal human size, 5 to 6 foot. I don't think we've had many that have been beyond that. They're usually somewhat slender, but I would say average adult size.
Have people ever seen them transform into something else?
Not that I know of. And that's one part of this that we have been trying to distinguish. But as far as coming out of that camouflage mode, not really, unless they do see it and they just don't recognize what they're looking at. And that very well could be. You hear that with a lot of shapeshifter type beings where they were, they would just totally disappear, and then suddenly the shimmering shows up. And we've heard that with the winged humanoids as well, where they can kind of move in and seem like they're moving in and out between invisible gateways or doorways. And though we don't have any these winged humanoid sightings are where they're actually cloaking to some degree. But I would venture to say that as far as we do consider, and I do consider many cryptids to be ultra-terrestrial beings that kind of move in and out between dimensions or realities, possibly. I think it's pretty well the same thing here. I don't think they're here all the time, but then again, I could be right. I could be wrong about that.
We got about 4 minutes to go. Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com is our guest. We're talking about his brand new book written with Kyle A. Filson and Cameron Hale called Glimmerman, Cloaked Beings That Move Among Us. You can find it on Amazon or at phantomsandmonsters.com right now. Have there ever been reports of animals reacting to this? Dogs, cats, house pets?
Oh yeah, they see them. And to what degree, they probably can see them and sense them much more than we can, which is probably normal for pets and animals. They have an innate ability to pick up on things like that, but they do react to it. And it does seem that kids, younger folks, kind of react to it a little bit better too. Especially very young, they don't seem afraid of it, but they're aware of it.
Right. What about these creatures? Have they ever been spotted going into somebody's house?
Offhand, not really. They're very close, but as far as going into a location, especially an occupied location, that's very rare. Very rare.
So it's not like Dogman or Bigfoot that seems angry where it's trying to get into somebody's place.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they will go into places that they're not supposed to be, but as far as the Glimmerman goes, that's very rare. They will get as close as they can, but there just seems to be something just instinctive that just keeps them from doing that or going beyond what they feel safe with.
Okay. So that one surprises me because when you look at these creatures that are, out there that we're familiar with, the Bigfoot, the Dogman, the gnomes or whatever, it always seems to be around hot spots of people, where they're trying to have maybe some sort of scary interaction with them. Yet in this case, it seems more like they're almost like watchers, Lon, like, almost like peeping toms.
Yeah. Yeah. And watchers, like, again, that's a good description of them. They just seem to hang around and keep an eye on what's going on around them. And, but as to why it does or why they do it, we just don't know. But it's disconcerting. I don't think people are really fearful of them opposed to a Dogman or a Bigfoot. But I think the apprehension and the unknowing is probably the main concerns when people do have encounters with them.
Has anybody been close enough to get an image of their face?
We haven't had anything. I have seen a couple photographs where the shimmering is seen in trees and it can be picked up on a camera. But again, that's very rare. Now, I know there is one photograph of and this was taken in Ohio, of a being that actually looked like a Bigfoot that was either trying to cloak himself in this manner where like one half of it was shimmering and the other half was a Bigfoot. Now, I don't know if that was an anomaly with the camera or what it was, but it did seem that it was in the mid-transition of some type. And a lot of people have tried to explain this away as being some type of cloaking abilities that cryptids have, or Bigfoot in particular. I don't know if that's true or not. I kind of went into this thinking that may be what it was, but as time has gone on, I'm just not really sure if that's the facts.
All right, let's get to our good friend Lon Strickler here from phantomsandmonsters.com. We'll continue with Glimmerman talk. We'll also get into some of the scary stories that Lon has provided for us this week. It's going to be great. Next half hour with Spaced Out Radio and Lon Strickler. All right, Lon, we're clear.
Mm-hmm.
The cryptid huntress is hanging out, lurking in our chat room. Hello, Jessica Jones. How are you, beautiful? TCR, how you doing? In his drum studio. Blaming me for not practicing his drums. Thank you. Thank you. Let's watch Lon take a nice sip of that Pepsi. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's nice. Angelina Bennett, how are you? She's got a picture of the haunted doll from Quinnell. That's Mandy. Angelina's the investigator I was telling you about, Lon.
Mm-hmm.
That is totally prepped and ready for Flight 21. She's my new ass kicker out there. I'm going to hide behind her. Mm-hmm. Brian Russell, how you doing? All the way from Florida. Thank you for tuning us in and staying up late, my friend. Nice comment right there. Good evening, David Lon from Florida. Get me through the insomnia tonight. Y'all rock. You know what the best compliment for me, Brian, is somebody who tells me that I was able to allow themselves to sleep. My voice put them to sleep. A lot of people would say that is an insult. I look at it as an absolute compliment because, you know what? We all need to relax, and some of us can't relax anymore. But if I'm able to do that for you, that is great. So lay back, relax. We'll take it from here, Brian. All right. Who else hopped in here? Oob to Joe's Maine. You've got aliens. Yes, you do. You got big feet too. And gorgeous hair. We got about 3 minutes, Lon.
Mm-hmm.
Angelina's laughing at me right now. I told her I'm going to hide behind her. Mm-hmm. Now, Mandy there, David Weatherly's book on the top 10 most haunted dolls from about 8-9 years ago. Mandy was in that book.
Hmm.
And when they came up here, I took them to visit Mandy. Flat Sixer, how you doing? Bounty Hunting Bear, nice to see you. We're filling up fast. Do me a favor, everybody. If you haven't already, give us a thumbs up. Okay, it helps with our algorithms on YouTube. And if you're listening in on Spreaker or Spotify or iHeartRadio or iTunes, wherever you are, give us a follow as well. We'd greatly appreciate it. And let us know what you think. And let's see. Valerie Peters, thank you. I'm glad you fall asleep to us, my dear. Thank you. Bobbert wants all of us naked in need to talk about our rage. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. We got about 90 seconds, Lon. All right. For the record, Grant Baker has sent me a travel package, and it's one of the greatest gifts I've ever received. Plastic straws, everybody. I'm getting plastic straws. I'm so excited, to be blunt. You know, trying to find plastic straws up here is damn near impossible.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. They'll wrap 90% of our groceries in plastic, but those damn straws, those are the killer. Those are the straws that broke the camel's back. Pun intended. Still trying to figure out why grapes have to come in a plastic bag. Bananas. You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. Thank you tonight to T-Bone and Little Cam for the super chats. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And here we go. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We got the legendary Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com hanging on out with us, and we are having a great night talking about the Glimmerman and his brand new book. That's Lon's new book, Glimmerman, Cloaked Beings That Move Among Us. We found on Amazon or at phantomsandmonsters.com. He has co-written it with Kyle A. Filson and Cameron Hale. I got to get those guys on the show, Lon. I really do.
Yeah, they have a very, very good podcast, and they got a big following. So yeah, they're a good interview as well.
Let's make that happen, my friend. Just a couple more questions about Glimmerman before we kind of move on here. Why are the encounters always seem so brief with these creatures?
Yeah, I wish I knew that myself. I mean, but there have been occasions where they have hung around locations for quite a long time, especially out in the woods. So, yeah, for the most part, they're kind of just like, like a ghost or a spirit or anything else that just shows up and then makes a brief and fleeting appearance and then it's gone. Yeah, we don't know why they do that.
Has anybody ever disappeared after seeing one of these things?
Not that I know of. Nope.
And just typically when people are out in the forest and these things are around, it's just like any big game animal where all of a sudden everything goes quiet.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's a disconcerting feeling from what I've heard, especially from hunters who are just so used to being out there and hearing the sounds of the woods and just everything quiets. And I've actually encountered that myself when I used to hunt, and that's a weird feeling.
Oh man, there is nothing weirder, man. When all of a sudden you hear the birds chirping, the squirrels, the chipmunks going, you even hear the dragonflies flying on by, and then the frogs in the background, and then all of a sudden everything's dead quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, we get especially around here in this part of the woods, we have, especially in the spring and the fall, we have what we call peepers, these small little frogs or toads that go out in the woods, and they're out there making a racket. But when and you're kind of used to hearing them all the time, but when they go quiet, then you're looking. I can't ever remember really noticing anything other than what should have been there, as opposed to when they go quiet and seeing something that's not supposed to be there. But it is very disconcerting.
One of the things that I find very, very intriguing about it doesn't matter whether it's bears or deer or wolves or anything, is how still they can be to blend in with the environment. They go like concrete, and cryptids seem to do the exact same thing. When you're, as humans, if you hear something or you're feeling something, you're scanning your eyes really, really quick. You're not taking the time to actually focus your eyes in to see what could be looking back at you. And I think we lose a lot of sightings because of that, Lon.
Oh, I'm quite sure we do. Yeah, I'm sure we do, because when you go in that kind of fight or flight mode and you're looking around, of course, you got the fear level up and you're trying to figure out what you're looking at. And these things are either hidden to a point where you're not going to be able to distinguish them in the trees or in the brushes and stuff. And yeah, I think a lot of sightings are not made because of that.
I would agree. Like, I know one of the times we were out there, my friend Lolly, my First Nations friend, I told you all about her.
Mm-hmm.
When we were out there after the loud tree knocks, she swore she saw one standing at about 10, 11 feet up facing us. And the minute I went to look in that area, she said she watched it drop almost like it kneeled down.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't see it. By the time I went to look there, I could not see it. But this thing was maybe, at a long distance, 45 feet.
Mm-hmm.
But that's me looking at it from my head right now. I would say probably closer to 30 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I think cryptids, and probably just not cryptids, but I think unknown beings in general may actually have the ability to be seen by their direction. In other words, if you say you got a crowd of people and one person sees it and the other ones don't, and I hear that a lot. We heard that a lot with the winged humanoid sightings, where this thing would show up, even look at people and look back at people like, yeah, do you see me? But there'll be other people there with them who have no idea that there's anything there. So, and a lot of that's in an urban area as well. So, I think there is something to that they do have the abilities to, I don't know, shut off sensory somehow, that, where humans in particular cannot see them. As far as in the animal world, I think instincts kind of supersede that. But I think with humans, I think they have the ability to pick who actually sees them.
one more question before we move on, because we want to get to Sasquatch here and get a little bit more into what's going on in the Sasquatch world right now. When we look at credibility of any of these creatures that we talk about, what is the one piece of evidence that really stands out for you? Maybe it's a connection, maybe it's a pattern. Tell me about what you feel.
I think consistency between witnesses is probably the big thing. It kind of hammers home that what you're investigating is most likely just not an imagination. It's something that people are actually seeing. And when you start getting the reports that are very similar, and it continues with people who do not know each other or in different areas, even different time areas or eras, that's probably the biggest indicator that there is something there. There is something happening. Yeah, I think that's the biggest part of it.
I want to switch topics and go into the Sasquatch topic. Since the last time you and I talked, the whole Sasquatch world has gone, caught on fire again because of a documentary called Capturing Bigfoot, which is being shown at the South by Southwest Film Festival right now in Texas. And one of the biggest issues with this film is whether or not the Patterson-Gimlin film is real or a hoax.
Mm-hmm.
You've been doing this a long time, Lon. Let's take a look at this from your perspective.
Okay. Well, I haven't seen the documentary yet. And of course, every once in a while, somebody will come forward and say they have evidence as to to disprove the Patterson Gimlin film. I just thought, for the most part, that was probably what's going on. Kind of a notoriety thing. Now, I'm not saying that their evidence is made up, but at the same time, something did come forward recently after this was released about the 2019 hypnosis or regression that Bob Gimlin had. With a trained professional, a trained regressive hypnotist, and I suggest, if you have not seen that video, and it's on YouTube. I had seen it once before years ago, but just briefly. But the one that's out there now is pretty much how would I want to say it, is more involved. I've seen a lot of regression therapy sessions in my time for a bunch of different phenomena, abductions and sightings and other strange things that they wanted more information on. But I think the gentleman who actually did I think his name was Meacham, who did the regression with Bob, I think he did a very good job. And there's a lot of people out there that try to do it that just are not as good at it as he was. But he really took the time. And in fact, he got to know Bob a little bit before they even did this. And when Gimlin decided he would go and have it filmed during the session, after seeing that, it makes it much harder to even discount what he had been saying and what he's been saying all along. For those people who don't know Bob Gimlin, and I don't say that I really know him well, but he's always seemed to be very forthcoming, a very truthful person. And he hasn't deviated at all on what he has seen and what his thoughts were during that encounter with him and Roger Patterson. But I don't know. It's just like everything else. When somebody comes forward with something like this, makes a big production out of it, and announces to the world that an iconic sighting was probably fake, well, you're going to get reaction. So that's my thoughts on it. Do I think the PG film is real? I do believe it's an actual Bigfoot, and I have for a long time. But it's one of those things where it's not a clean take. You can, I guess anybody can look at it and form their own opinion, and if they lean to one side or the other, they can kind of reinforce that. But people want binary answers, if it's real or it's a hoax, and nothing in between. So that's kind of where we leave ourselves now.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting with it too, is I believe it's a real film. I really do.
Yeah.
We also know, and it's always been public knowledge in the Bigfoot world, that Roger Patterson was wanting to make a Bigfoot documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Which he filmed a lot of it in Yakima, Washington, his home.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to, I don't credit the BFRO very often. Usually I'm one harping on them, but Matt Moneymaker made a great insight about this. And it really stuck with me and resonated with my feelings on the film. And he said, this is nothing new. Just because they were filming the documentary doesn't mean that what they filmed in Bluff Creek was fake. And if you look at the Harmonious suit that Bill Harmonious, or I believe his name is Bill Harmonious, was
Hieronymus.
Yeah. I'm sorry?
Hieronymus,
yes.
Yeah.
Was wearing, it looks nothing like the Patterson Gimlin footage.
No.
He doesn't walk the same. He doesn't move the same. It's like if you were to throw a bear rug over your shoulders. That's what it looks like. All it's going to do is match your body style. Patty had width to her. She was a big girl in the shoulders. She had, you know, the hair going down her back, the muscles movement that you could see, the breasts in the front. There was a lot about her that made her extremely unique, that the Hieronymus film or the Hieronymus photos show something completely different.
Yeah, there's no comparison in my opinion. It's a layered problem, we have modern sighting clusters that show signs of both genuine witness experience and then social applications to it. I don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, I guess the best thing at this point is to just let it ride itself out and see what happens. And as people come forward, and a lot of people involved in the Bigfoot world are kind of not saying a whole lot. And I don't think it's because that they believe that they were played. I think it has a lot to do with that they just want to see more proof as to what is really there in the film itself. Now I've heard people say who have believed in the Patty film say that they did see the presentation and it put questions in their mind. Well, I can understand that. But I think something to be verifiable just needs time to iron out and to try to show itself the best it can, because at this point right now it's all hype, and I just don't believe we can get a real understanding at this point now. I think there's going to be much more. There's got to be much more presented as opposed to this film.
Well, I think the big thing with a lot of the people who are waiting on this and making comments, whether you look at some of the big names, whether it's Lyle Blackburn or Ken Gerhard or many others that are out there, is they haven't seen the film. And they are just waiting to see what truly is going on before they make any sort of comment about it whatsoever. So I can see why people are not rushing to judgment, because they do want to see truly what's going on. That being said, at some point, do we not have to shut down this debate? I mean, this film, I think we can officially say the Patterson Gimlin film has overtaken the Zapruder film as, the number one studied video in the world. I mean, can we finally say that?
Yeah, I think we can. Of course, the Zapruder film we knew what happened there. We saw what happened there. And there was not really much interpretation of to what was shown. Now, with the PG film, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of interpretation, but it's presented in a way that it doesn't seem that it was hoaxed on purpose. In other words, that there was any indication that what they showed or how they obtained the film was something that was staged. Who knows? I mean, I don't know if they have something else that's going to come out later. We'll just have to wait and see. But at this point now, even though I haven't seen the film, I'm going to need more to be convinced.
I want to see it just out of my curiosity. I want to see it just to see. And look, there is no official release date of this movie coming out to Amazon or Netflix or any of the streaming services just yet. I would assume that the director Mark does plan on doing that because of the popularity of it, and people are probably looking at this in other ways. I think one of the things that disappoints me about this film, Lon, is how everybody who has been skeptical about this subject all of a sudden says, you know what? we told you this creature isn't real. We told you Bigfoot doesn't exist. This is proof. Your famous movie is garbage. It's a hoax. You got played. There's no Bigfoot. There's no anything big running around the forest. Get over it. It's over.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of comments like that right now.
Yeah, but there are some people who have claimed that for a long time who are just not saying anything right now. So I think there is some apprehensions in that community as to what it really is. Look, we got a piece of legacy, a legacy piece of evidence like the PG film. Again, that's under some type of serious challenge. There's always going to be a common thread of uncertainty is involved with that. We just had to see where the serious investigation goes and if there is one. And hopefully there'll be some independent evidence at some point where he can either be verified or just another gray zone between experience and proof.
What proof do you think the skeptics need in order to finally make them happy?
Body.
Is it a body? Is that
Body.
it?
Yeah, that'll be it. And that's what I've said that all along, though I'm not an advocate of killing one of these creatures. But if we so happen to find a body of a natural death or something to that, or that'll be the final piece. Though of course you're going to have people who are going to come out and come up with some type of excuse to that as well. But I think a body or some real physical evidence other than scat or prints and other things that are going to kind of lean most people to that conclusion that maybe these creatures are real.
A lot of people will say, Lon, and people listening into this show right now will say, I've been in the forest for 25 years. I've been a hunter. I've been a hiker. I've been a camper. Never seen anything.
Yeah.
Never seen any footprints. Never seen any signs. What's your answer to them?
Wrong place, wrong time. You just haven't been there. When I had my encounter in 81, I didn't expect to see anything like that. Why does that happen? Why do certain people are fortunate enough to see something, let alone two different types of phenomena that they had no idea existed? I know investigators who have been out in the field for 50 years or so who just have never seen even a UFO, let alone a cryptid, but they still investigate it. They believe that they're there. They've had anecdotal evidence through witnesses and occasionally something physical that may steer their thoughts or may inspire them to continue on. But I guess it's just a matter of chance.
We got about a minute to go here before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com is here with us. It is a matter of chance to see a sighting, have some sort of encounter. But it also points out, Lon, that if you don't know what you're looking for, you're not going to see it.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, I guess that's true. But I got to look back in my situation. I knew of Bigfoot. I knew people had reported seeing these things. I knew about the PG film. When I saw it, I really didn't know what I was looking at, quite honestly. And though I knew there was this 7.5 foot, 8 foot tall, hairy being that people described seeing occasionally and reporting. I don't know, does the human mind have something to do with that? you wouldn't think so because it wasn't really something that was expected or something that you thought may exist. But yeah, I think it's just a matter of luck.
On that note, Lon, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because when we come back with Lon Strickler for hour number 2, he's collected a number of stories from us or for us about Sasquatch and other creatures. We're going to get to those after we return. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, Lon, I'm going to put you in the background. We're going to take a quick break and going to leave you guys with this to chew on. There you go. There you go. Be right back. All right. Let's bring Lon back in. There we go. If you haven't already, do us a favor. We try and hit a minimum of 100 likes per show. It really helps if you give us a thumbs up because it really helps with our algorithms. Andrew B., how you doing? Thank you very much for joining us. Anybody else jump in here late? Let's take a little peeky poo here. And that's about it. We're good right now. We're good. Everybody's having coffee time. Coffee time. And shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, everybody. We do not have ugly swag. No ugly swag. You can wear our stuff out and actually be happy to wear it. Boondock, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. Thank you to T-Bone as well as Little Cam for our lone super chats of the night. We greatly appreciate your love and support. It's a great way to support what I do here on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much. And CaribouCon.com is the place to get your tickets right now for the first annual Caribou Con in my area, 100 Mile House, British Columbia. Here we go. Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is currently underway. My name is Dave Scott. Glad to have you with us as we have our good friend Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com hanging on out with us. Going to talk some monster sightings coming up next. But first, we want to say hello to all of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the Newswire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Fascinoris. Fascinoris is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's bring in our good friend, Lon Strickler. Phantomsandmonsters.com is his website. He has a new book out on the Glimmerman, which can be found on his website or on Amazon. Lon, it is always a pleasure to have you here.
Always good to be with you, Dave.
All right. You brought in some really cool stories as you do each and every month. This one says, "Hi, Lon." That's you. "I was active in the Boy Scout for a few years, up until about age 15. Our troop was fairly small and poorly organized, with a scoutmaster who was an uninspired old man known to drink a lot. He often drove us into remote locations in the Pacific Northwest, in and around Mount Hood National Forest. We usually ended up being the only troop at campsites that seemed long neglected and poorly maintained. We never attended any of the big scout jamborees. The one thing that seemed to matter most to him was whether there was a single occupancy shelter on site. It might be an old mini cabin or some standing structure where he could hole up by himself with his little propane heater, folding cot, and a bottle of Canadian Mist. We usually, by the way, nobody in Canada drinks Canadian Mist. Just all right. We usually saw him twice a day at breakfast and dinner. The rest of the time, we were left to fend for ourselves, and the dynamics in the troop sometimes devolved into something close to Lord of the Flies. During my time with that troop, my friend and I came across very distinct, 5-toed, very human, very huge footprints on 2 different occasions. One was located on the far left side of the lake, accessible only by canoe. At one point, we even had to drag the canoe over a beaver dam to reach it. There was a muddy cove where a creek drained into the lake, and we were checking out all of the fresh animal tracks pressed into the mud. We were seeing bear, deer, cougar, maybe bobcat, the usual kinds of tracks you would expect in that environment. Then we noticed the impossible ones. These were bare, humanoid footprints, and they were ridiculously large. We got down and studied them closely. I will never forget how much detail there was in those prints. They were pressed deep, and my friend pointed out that the fine creases inside them looked like the lines you would see on the palms or on the bottoms of your feet. Both of us knew about Bigfoot legends, but neither of us took them seriously at the time. Still, after examining those tracks, we both started to feel uneasy. We decided pretty quickly to get back in the canoe and paddle to camp. What struck me then, and still strikes me now, is that if somebody had gone through the trouble of faking those prints, they chose a location almost guaranteed never to be seen by anyone. You had to work just to get there. That incident, along with another much freakier one, changed the way I looked at the possibility that these things are real. The other experience did not involve a sighting on my part, but it was one of those situations where you had to be there. It may have happened on that same trip, and if not, it was around the same period. It was after dinner. The sun was down, but the moon was bright enough for people to move around without much trouble. Two other guys my age went out for a night hike, really just to goof around. One of them, Bruce, was a friend of mine. He was in my grade at school. Bruce was a tall, husky kid with a mellow disposition, and he got good grades. He was also deaf or significantly hearing impaired. He wore one of those old hearing aids connected to a control box about the size of a pack of cigarettes. I never saw him use sign language, but he communicated well enough through rough speech and gestures. Bruce and the other guy headed out, apparently planning to walk down to the lake and back. They did not bring anything with them, not even a flashlight. All right, this is refreshing for me, so please bear with me because Microsoft is acting up a little bit. All right, and let's see here. I do not think that they were gone more than 45 minutes when they both came bursting back into camp in a total state of panic, right on the edge of hysteria. The other boy, whose name I can't remember, was sobbing and shaking and kept looking back toward the direction they had come from. What really alarmed me was Bruce. He had plenty of deep woods camping experience and was no wuss. He was in tears too. Both of them were trying to talk over each other and made such a commotion that it brought out our old scoutmaster out of his hideaway to see what was going on. Eventually, we got enough detail out of them to understand why they were so terrified. According to both of them, they had not yet reached the lake when Bruce first sensed that someone or something was pacing them, moving parallel to their path. They said it was walking between trees. At first, the other kid did not understand what Bruce was trying to communicate. Then he noticed too. Whatever was out there was laying down footfalls heavy enough to I can't say that word. Reverberate. Thank you. I got stuck there. Holy cow. Reverberate through the ground. What terrified them was the way those steps kept pace with their own movement, as though whatever it was had decided to shadow them. When they stopped, it stopped. At some point, they reached an area where the trees were spaced out farther apart. In the moonlight, both of them saw the silhouette of a huge, upright figure, maybe 20 to 30 feet away, darting between the tree trunks. Bruce described it as taller than an NBA player, but much thicker, like Andre the Giant. Their stories differed slightly after that. Bruce insisted it did not actually chase them. The other kid swore he could hear it crashing through the foliage behind them, almost the whole way back to camp. Either way, both of them were utterly undone by what they had just experienced. That reaction rippled through the entire campsite. Our troop included a couple of older guys who were full-blown bullies and liked to think of themselves as badasses. They were exactly the type of people who would mock anyone for being weak or scared. But even those two were visibly rattled. They were nervously sweeping their flashlights around the dark perimeter of the campsite. Of course, neither of them volunteered to go out and investigate. Even our old scoutmaster looked shaken. This was not the usual kind of kid drama he dealt with, and I think seeing Bruce in that condition had an impact on him. He seemed to believe those two scouts had seen something out of the ordinary, something that genuinely scared the hell out of them and interrupted his quiet evening with the bottle. Once things calmed down, he told us to make sure the fire was out and get to bed. At that old campground, the shelters were crude structures that felt like a cross between tiny log cabins and yurts. There were no bunks, just wooden plank floors. The roofs were largely squares of old canvas stretched across the top. They were drafty, cold, and uncomfortable. Sometime a couple of hours before dawn, a few of us woke up to a sound, and really the sensation of something moving around the campsite. At times, it seemed to come very close to the yurts. I do not remember it feeling especially massive, but two dogs somewhere nearby were absolutely losing it. They were howling and whimpering like they thought they were about to die. Here, my memory gets a little fuzzy. Our troop did not travel with dogs. My best recollection is that the campground had some kind of seasonal caretaker living in a shack or old trailer farther off, someone with a key to the gate, and the dogs may have belonged to him. I do not actually remember seeing the man himself. Sure, the noises we heard that morning could have been from any number of known animals, but the way those dogs sounded has stayed with me. What has stayed with me the most, though, is Bruce. I can see how scared he was as he tried to describe what he had seen. He was normally a mellow guy, and that night he looked like somebody who had just been confronted with something deeply frightening and completely outside his experience. He was in tears, absolutely convinced of what he had seen. For whatever reason, Bruce did not stay in the troop much longer after that, maybe one more camp out at most. Over the following years, I saw him a few times in the school hallways, but I never had a chance to ask him to elaborate on what happened that night. It's an incredible story, Lon.
Yeah, it's probably as good as it gets as far as you having at least two witnesses and their reaction as a result of the encounter. Now these reports that I gave you are reports I've received within the past month. So, yeah, that was a particularly well done report, and it just goes to show how in detail how people react to these things.
I can say from personal experience. Now, I didn't hear it because I have a lot of tinnitus in my ears.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were in the forest with Merle, Samantha in 2024, when we had that footprint that showed up at our tent, 10 feet from our tent, the year we found the staff, that happened to us, where when Merle heard it best, Mark heard it, Samantha heard it, that when we were on the main trail, it was going with us. And when we stopped, it stopped. And then we would look, try and get a flashlight or something into the trees. And this is before, almost about an hour and a half before dusk. So the sun is just setting, but it's bright enough where or dark enough where you still need a flashlight to kind of look in the trees, and I'll tell you, that was creepy, my man. That was creepy, knowing that this thing, whatever it was stalking us through the trees. It's not a fun feeling.
Yeah, I mean, the way it was written up, it really captured the emotion and the rawness of the encounter itself, which is very rare because we don't get many like that. But yeah, that's why I put it in here, because I thought it would kind of demonstrate how people really do react to these things. It's interesting when somebody will have an encounter and they call you right after, they get a hold of you somehow, and right after they had the encounter, and the way they react and the way they act and the emotion, it's really, it's impressive, to be quite honest. It's something you just don't really expect to get from a witness unless it's something they did or they believe they saw. And yeah, this report captures it perfectly.
I believe this one.
Yeah.
The emotion of it all, I believe it. What those kids are lucky is that if there was more than one there, that it did not kind of wreck their night, keep them awake.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that had the potential situation of being so much more dangerous than what it was.
Yeah, if this thing had been territorial, it could have definitely been, of course it's out in the wilderness and you're in an area where there have been Bigfoots, so people are pretty sure that there are either singular or groups around there. If this thing had been much more territorial and much more aggressive, it could have been much worse than what happened. So, it's a great example.
It really is. It's a fantastic example of a great encounter. It really is. And thankfully they got out of it. But Mount Hood, Lee Strauss, I don't know if you know Lee, he's on my team here.
Mm-hmm.
Lee and Jackie Harmon had an incredible encounter on Mount Hood 2 years ago where Jackie actually, I think I told you the story. Jackie actually got groped by the Sasquatch in their floating tent at night. She was awake. They could hear them moving all around. One of the Sasquatch, they had 3 tents. They had the 2 on the ground, and you put your tent pegs out.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had the floating tent that they were sleeping in. And they could hear them moving all around. And Jackie said that one of them tripped over one of the tethers to the tent, and you could hear it snap and pull out of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything went quiet. And then all of a sudden she heard it start to move around their tent, and she felt a hand on her ankle. And then it moved up to her calf and then her leg. Then it grabbed her butt, moved up to her back, her shoulder. But when it started to kind of making its way towards her head, that's where she kind of got freaked out and said, "Hey, leave us alone." And all of a sudden she heard everything go silent and it kind of ran off.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But she said she was paralyzed in fear.
Oh, I bet.
And Lee was free.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's go to your next story here. I live in western Montana on the Blackfeet Reservation. My father is a tribal member and my mother is not, so I grew up between both worlds. Because of that, I heard the stories from both sides, from Native families and white families, and I learned early that there are some things people here simply do not talk about unless they trust you. My father once told me I know many people would dismiss immediately. He said that before he was born, he was conscious. He remembered being in a kind of a waiting room before birth, surrounded by countless babies. Some looked healthy, some looked sickly, some were deformed, and some appeared to be in the form of other races. One of them, he said, was covered in hair. He never spoke openly about this with strangers, but he told me, and I've never forgotten it. I mention that because when I was young, long before I knew anything about Bigfoot or Sasquatch traditions, I had disturbed dreams about what my family called the hairy man. Later, when my father told me his own experiences of what had happened around his area, those dreams took on a different meaning. I came to believe that whatever the hairy man is, it is deeply connected to this land and to the people who have lived here for generations. In my family, the presence of that being seems to run through memory itself, as if it belongs not only to the reservation, but to our bloodline and inherited experience. The first time the hairy man appeared in my father's life, he was still a small boy. He was in the living room with his brothers when one of them came running inside in total panic, crying and screaming for my grandmother to come outside and make it go away. My uncle had seen a Sasquatch in the garden behind the house, near a small creek. It had been stealing vegetables. Once it was spotted, it ran off. No one made much of it afterward. Back then, nobody turned it into a public story. It was treated as something known, something real, and something best left alone. As my father grew older and reached his early 20s, most stories began to circulate around the reservation. People talked about a wild man breaking into houses, frightening children at night. He was always described as a huge, foul-smelling, and bold. One family in particular seemed to be singled out. They would come home and find the door open, food missing, and their animals hiding beneath the table in fear. It happened so often that my father said they almost treated it the way some families treat an unwanted ghost. It was terrifying, but it became familiar. Soon, more people began locking their doors at night. Dogs that were usually aggressive or alert started acting strangely, cowardly. Then the incidents escalated. The wild man was no longer only coming around after dark, it began entering homes during the day. Children saw it. Tribal police were called. Meetings were held. People were frightened because this was no longer just a rumor or one family's private burden. Something unknown was moving through the community and growing bolder. Then came the event people never forgot. One night, the father of that family was standing on the porch with his wife and children when something suddenly grabbed his feet and yanked him off the porch. The entire family saw it happen. They screamed and huddled together while just outside they could hear a violent struggle. There was fighting, screaming, and the unmistakable sounds of a man being overpowered. Then he was taken away into the darkness. He did not come back that night. There was blood on the grass the next morning. His family gathered neighbors and other men from the community, and they organized a search. The men followed the signs left behind: drops of blood, broken ground, and the passage of something very large. The trail led them along the creek, the same creek where my uncle had seen the Sasquatch as a child. They followed it through the night. When the search party returned the next day, not one of them would talk about what they had seen, but they had found the man. He was alive when they brought him back, but barely. His body was covered in injuries. He was black and blue from head to toe. His arms and legs were broken. He was in deep shock and could not speak. One of my uncles later went to the hospital to see him and offer support to the family. He saw the man lying there, eyes bulging, body trembling, unable to form words. He had been beaten so severely that it looked as if he had been destroyed piece by piece. He died that same night. No official answer was ever given for what had taken him or what had happened out there. But within the small circle of men who went on that recovery mission, there was another story. The story passed quietly, only to a trusted few, including my father. I was told that the men had found what had taken him. They found the hairy man. They killed it with high-powered rifles and buried the body. Even so, they never spoke publicly. The silence remained. So did the guilt. The older generation always warned us to avoid Sasquatch and leave them alone. We were told they were not animals and they were not something magical in a childish sense. They were human beings of another kind, but they were also told something else. Human or not, they could be monstrous. This story is why I've never gotten that or never forgotten that warning. That is powerful. I believe that.
Yeah, it's a good First Nations report. I've heard similar as well, and many times, very few times does that information even come out. But occasionally, someone will, get the nerve to write somebody or write me or write someone else and put it out there. So that's another good example of what can happen and what some of these people experience.
That happened. There's a famous case here in British Columbia, near Hope, British Columbia, in the reserve called Ruby Creek. And they had a Sasquatch terrorizing their village as well. I don't know if this is from the same community or not. No, this one's in the U.S.
Yeah.
But It's very similar. Lon, hold on right there. Continue with more stories of Bigfoot right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, buddy, we're clear.
Okay.
All right. All right, there we go. I think it really depends on the Sasquatch clan that is around.
Yeah. I've always contended that these beings, and particularly in that part of the world, Pacific Northwest in that area, are up in the mountains and such. They're natural beings. They come in family groups, and they're probably much more territorial as opposed to something that may possibly be ultra terrestrial or something. But it's just like I think they're almost like with humans. I mean, you've got different races, you got different customs, you got different thoughts. They have their own society. They have their own way of taking care of things, and I think it's exactly the same way with Sasquatch or Bigfoot. So, and these stories that come out of these reservations, in particular, are kind of troublesome sometimes. But they do experience some incidents that are a little bit above or different than the norm that we hear.
I would agree with you. It's freaky. It's absolutely freaky. Oh, let me see here. We got about 2.5 minutes here. War Eagle, how you doing? And anybody else jump in here? No, we're good. We're good. That's why I like in our area, Lon, I really try and heed the warnings. Like when you're in the middle of the forest and you're in their area, we know where their area is. I really heed the warning that it's time for you to go back to base camp.
Oh yeah.
That they want to move. Zachariah Dennis, how you doing? Welcome.
I think they will, in some respect, give an indication of when it's time to. They'll tolerate you in their time. They're not going to. And when I have done sessions in areas, even when I did up in Flight 21, some of the things I felt examining that area, you do get that indication that something is, there's something underlying. And you felt it too. I mean, there've been times I know you've gone up there and it just felt different. I mean, you knew how long to be there and not to do certain things. And I think that's a human instinct that is still around, that people do pick up on stuff like that.
And there were a couple times last year where Tim or I really didn't feel that it would be safe to go out there.
Yeah.
And we didn't. It was incredibly freaky, to think that we, here we are trying to trying to, do our studies, and we want to be out there, but we just couldn't because there was just this nauseating intent out there that was just like, you're not invited today. Like,
Yeah.
don't come.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I think I think in that respect they're a lot like us. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of times people just don't want to be messed with and want to be left on their own. And
Hold
I
right
think
there,
it's the
Lon. We're
same
going to come
thing.
back. Number 23, Lars Janssen. Welcome. Here we go. We're into the final half hour of this hour. We're right in the middle of the show. My name is Dave Scott. We're in some tinfoil tonight as we talk Bigfoot with Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com. You can also go there to get his latest book on the Glimmerman. Oh, yes, a good one to add to your library. And thank you, Lon, for being here once again. We always appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Your emotions of being on this show are always second to none, my friend.
Yeah,
Second
you probably get the most excited from me than most people do.
I do get excited for you because every time you come on this show, which is once a month near the end of each month, you bring such amazing stories and and knowledge. And to be honest with you, I don't care what anybody else says. I think my audience would agree with me. If you're into this field, you're a legend. You, sir, are a legend in this field.
Well, it's just nice to be appreciated.
Okay, Eeyore. There we go. Oh, we got him smiling. Lon, I want to say thank you for these great stories. We're going to read another one here right now. It says, let me preface this by saying that I did not remember this incident until I was in my early 30s. It came back over about a week, first in flashes, then in longer pieces. I believe it was triggered after my older brother moved in with us. One of the fragments began surfacing. I finally asked him about it. What he told me made it clear that something had truly happened and that I had not imagined it. I grew up on a ranch near Wind River Mountains in Wyoming. We heated the house with wood, so every year after the crops were in and before irrigation began again, we spent about 2 weeks in the mountains cutting and hauling wood. We always went to the same place along the Big Sandy River, a remote spot we called Bear Trap. It was hard to reach, and the drive-in was long and rough. The only people I ever saw there outside of my own family were sheep herders, and they were on horseback. I had always loved the outdoors. We spent most weekends either in the desert or in the mountains. I love both, but I've never been at ease in the mountains. In the desert, I might sleep lightly, but I sleep. In the mountains, I've always felt on edge. For as long as I can remember, I have hated being alone along a creek or stream, especially if no one else was nearby. At the time, I did not know why. Later, I think I understood. I was about 5 years old when this happened. My brother was 12. We had been camping there for about a week. At some point, my mother and father drove down the mountain and left the two of us in the camp. That sounds unbelievable now, but it happened. I remember standing beside my brother watching our parents drive away. He had a .22 rifle propped up on his shoulder. After they left, I wandered off to my favorite place by the creek, out of the sight of camp, maybe 200 yards away. What I remember next is broken, but vivid. I remember being carried under the arm of something covered in long, thin fur, almost the way a football is tucked under someone's arm. There were at least 3 others moving alongside us. At times, they were upright. At times, they were down on all fours. They were making loud, frantic noises, screaming and chattering at the one carrying me. My impression was that they were protesting, as if they were telling it that taking me was wrong and that I should be put back. There was panic in their voices and movements. I do not remember smelling anything unusual. The strangest part is that the memory feels detached. almost as if I were watching it happen to someone else. I know I must have felt terrified, but I do not remember terror in the usual sense. I mostly remember the chaos of the noise and the motion and the sense of being carried farther and farther away. Eventually, we reached what looked like an overhang or a shallow cave. The ground in front of it had been swept clean. The ones running beside us had reddish brown fur, long arms, and a youthful look, almost like adolescents. They kept squawking and objecting until a much larger being appeared. The moment she came into view, the others felt silent and withdrew out of sight. I had an immediate impression that she was the matriarch. She made a low grunt towards the one carrying me. I was placed gently on the ground. That one then moved away. I never felt that large female meant to hurt me. If anything, she seemed sad. Looking back, I have sometimes wondered if perhaps she had lost a child of her own, and that grief had something to do with why I was taken. Her fur was darker, almost black, and looked thinner and wirier than the others. I cannot clearly remember whether she made any more sounds after that, but I distinctly felt she was communicating to me that it was safe, I was safe, and did not need to be afraid. She took me by the hand and led me to a bed made of pine needles, grasses, and strips of soft bark, arranged something just inside the edge of the shelter. She indicated that I should sit there, and everything about her manner was gentle. She then disappeared for a short time and returned with a water containing bits of plants. She had me drink it, then laid me down on the mat. The next thing I remember is waking up. The first sensation was smell, damp earth, moss, and wet soil. Then I felt grass brushing against my face. I was confused. I did not understand why I had apparently fallen asleep there. I was only about 20 feet from the spot where I had originally been playing. I walked back into camp and my brother grabbed me hard and hugged me. Then he started yelling at me for hiding on him. Looking back now, I understand that he was frantic. When I finally told him my side of it years later, he said he had been searching for me for hours. He said he had checked the exact area where I'd been playing several times and I was not there. He also told me about something else that stayed with me. According to him, our grandfather and our father both knew that a family of these beings lived in that area and had never caused any real trouble. He said that he and our father used to leave salt and sugar on a log for them every year, and that the offerings were always taken. By the time these memories returned to me, both my father and grandfather had already died, so I never had the chance to ask them about any of it myself. I do remember once overhearing my grandfather talking to my father about hearing something moving up the creek while he was fishing, something heavy, something that was not a bear. The moment they realized I was listening, they stopped talking. Wow. That is an absolutely wow type storyline.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, that's on the other side, the flip side of the coin compared to the other ones. Occasionally we will get something like that where you got a group of these beings that, they kind of act like humans, basically. I mean, they're scolded, they're in trouble with somebody else for doing something they shouldn't have done. And one of them takes it upon themselves to look after the human that has been brought in. So, yeah, I mean, again, it's a situation where it could have turned bad, but fortunately, since his father and grandfather had left gifts for them and such, they probably felt that it was just best to handle the situation the best they could and not start any trouble.
Sasquatch has been known to take people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's not the prettiest. It's not the best scenario, but at times, like giving an example, in First Nations culture here in BC, excuse me, that caught up with me. In British Columbia here, many First Nations actually believe that, and they tell their women especially, not to go out in the evenings or at night on a
Yeah.
dark road, or don't walk anywhere. Don't go for a walk in the forest, because the likelihood of you being taken as a Sasquatch wife is very high. And it absolutely amazes me that, people still do that. I would not take that chance, you know, but but this story, it actually reminded me of that young boy a few years ago in where was it? In North
North Carolina.
Carolina, where the teddy bear kept him warm at night.
Yeah. Yeah, you do hear some examples of this. And I have no doubt that North Carolina story was a Sasquatch. Even when it first came out, I was pretty sure that's what it was. That's been about 5 or 6 years ago. But yeah, but I have heard others. I have heard other reports very similar to that. So, do they still have a lot of disappearances up there on the Highway of Tears?
Not as many as there used to be,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't heard of anybody disappearing from the Highway of Tears in probably a couple of years, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, up north is where it's mainly happening. So that would be approximately about 6 to 9 hours minimum driving for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like the start of the Highway of Tears is actually on the highway right out of my town here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very quiet up here. It's not until you get up into that northern area of British Columbia that is extremely desolate and remote, where you get all of those missing people. I actually once talked to a lady whose cousin was one of the First Nations victims up there. She's never been found. And she told me point blank, they don't know if she's alive or not. They
Mm-hmm.
believe she's deceased, but they felt that, and I want to be careful in saying this because I don't want to downplay the situation of serial killers driving around up there. And I do believe there is more than one. Okay. I really do. But she believed that at least 20% of those First Nations women that were taken and disappeared were taken by Sasquatch
Yeah.
as Sasquatch wives. And she says, if you look at the people who went missing, there are 3 things that you have to be careful of. Number 1, Sasquatch has an affinity for pregnant women,
Mm-hmm.
women who are on their menstrual cycle, or are within a year of giving birth.
I have
So,
heard
like
the same thing.
after being pregnant, giving birth up to that 1 year.
Yeah, I have
And
heard the same thing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you're right about that. I think they're right about that. I've heard similar reports further north up there going toward Yukon, and people talking about that. It's not really talked a lot, but of course, you hear a lot of different stories since you're living up there. But I think you're right about that. I think you say an affinity towards certain women in certain situations, and I think that is absolutely true. Because I've heard accounts in other places where that could have actually been the same circumstances as well. Yeah, I think that does happen.
I would agree with you. And and once again, it's not to downplay the sickening human beings that are taking these women and getting rid of them. But I mean, apparently, according to this lady, they tried to talk to the RCMP about it, but the
Mhm.
Mounties wouldn't have, and for probably proper reasons, they would not hear that side. They didn't want to hear it. And a friend of mine, when he was an RCMP officer before he retired, he worked that case for 10 years, I think. And he's like, Dave, it's so weird. I mean, yeah, you expect things to happen, but the way some of these ladies just vanished, like it was like they were taken right off the face of the earth.
Yeah. Yeah, I do believe that. I do believe that does happen. And I thought that for a long time.
All
But
right,
we live in quite an interesting area.
let's get to a couple questions here from our audience.
Sure.
Let's go to Grant here. The Glimmerman has been less than a foot from me on multiple occasions, almost like they were curious of me. Why do you think this is?
Exactly what you said. They were just curious. I mean, we talk about them being watchers and studying us. Why they do that, I don't know, but it does seem that they do have an agenda to know more about us. Do they see us as predators? Do they see us as enemies? I don't know. But it does seem that they're very curious about us and want to know, what we do.
Very true. Very true. And I know Grant very, very well. And I think he is very, very truthful with his statements on that and his experiences. Jose is asking, maybe the Glimmerman is an alien species that uses technology to cloak itself. And since we haven't really seen it decloaked, we're not sure if it's actually a physical appearance. What's your thoughts on this, Lon?
True. I mean, I think a lot of these type of entities or beings that we come across or that people see or experience, I think the argument for ultra-terrestrial beings is becoming stronger and stronger as time goes on. Sure, they could be extraterrestrial. I don't know. I mean, there's a fine line between being extraterrestrial and ultra-terrestrial. Ultra-terrestrial seem to be in our Earth plane or where we're at more so than an extraterrestrial would be. And it seems that they do come and stay a finite period of time and then take back off and go wherever they came from. I think that may very well be true. I think that's what's going on with this being. That's my personal opinion, but and I really don't have much proof other than that. But I think it kind of parallels a lot of the other cryptid beings that people experience.
All right, let's go to one more here, as we got about 6.5 minutes left with Lon Strickler tonight from phantomsandmonsters.com. Let's go to Paramarv. June 2001, Art Bell had a guest named Bugs that claimed he and a couple of his friends were hunting overnight, and they ended 2 Bigfoot they thought were aggressive. Have you ever heard of this story, and what's your thoughts if you have?
Yeah, I kind of remember that. I don't know what to think. A lot of different types of people ended up on Art Bell's show, and there's a lot of question on a lot of the accounts that he had talked about or had talked to people about over the years. But I don't know. I guess it could be true. Yeah, I mean, you hear a lot of stories, but I think if the situation was to where people thought they were aggressive and dangerous, they may very well have taken them out. So, and like I said, I've heard that before or something similar to that before. But yeah, I do remember that. I don't even know. I may have actually listened to it at the time, or I listened to one of the archives, but I kind of remember that.
I believe that if memory serves me right on that episode, because I remember that episode too, that they couldn't produce where they buried the bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where people started calling it a hoax.
Well, yeah.
I actually had, here's a weird one for you. So I had a First Nations gentleman in my daytime office come up to me last week. And his name is Otto. And Otto is just a wonderful, wonderful man. And he starts telling me about his encounter with a Sasquatch. It was extremely aggressive. It chased him back to his vehicle. He got into his vehicle, closed the door. The thing ripped the door off his vehicle before he shot him. And he said they followed the blood trail. He followed the blood trail for about 3/4 of a mile before coming across the body. Now he says, but he can't remember that somebody took the body, took the head off, boiled the head down so they could have the skull. This is north of me, about an hour,
Mm-hmm.
hour and a half. Wants to take me to the place where it happened. I'm all for that this summer, right? But here's the weird thing about this Sasquatch, and I'm not sure if we were dealing with a Sasquatch here, even though he claimed it. It didn't have feet. It had hooves.
Mm.
Have you heard of this?
I heard of something similar. And that didn't involve, it being killed, but I have heard of something similar to where people had, a witness had stated that they have cloven foot, something that looked like a Sasquatch. I mean, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a goat man or something like that. I don't know. But I have heard that.
Yeah, he said that it really blew him away that he was, able to see these hooves. The hooves scared him more than the footprints did. But he said the way this one was extremely aggressive towards him. And I asked him point blank, I said, was it a Dogman? Okay, because in that area, just south of that area, there have been alleged werewolf sightings.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked him, was it a Dogman? Said, nope. Had the head of a Sasquatch, body of a Sasquatch, hands like a Sasquatch, except the feet were hooves.
God knows what that was. Huh. Yeah, if you ever come up with anything else from him about that, let me know.
I will.
Interesting. Yeah.
I will. I have to get into the habit for our audience of recording these.
Yeah.
With AI today, you could recreate it.
Right.
You could recreate it. And I don't know. It's just, it's an incredible story. Incredible story. And I hope to be able to go out there with him one day this year to see that location.
Does someone have the skull yet?
He can't remember the guy's name. Doesn't know if the guy's alive. Doesn't know where he is. I'll try and find out. Okay?
That's interesting.
The one thing about Otto that I will say, he's a very extremely humble man, very quiet man, but he is he has troubles remembering people's names.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But on the flip side, every time he sees me, he asks me if I've had any more encounters.
Does he?
Yeah. It's funny because at my daytime office, I've had a run lately in the last 5-6 business days of First Nations people coming in and them asking me, have you had any more encounters lately? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lon, we got about 30 seconds left. Where can people find your brand new book about Glimmerman?
Yeah, just go to phantomsandmonsters.com. I've got it listed there. You just click the button. It'll take you right to Amazon, or you go directly to Amazon and order it.
And of course, you can find everything from Lon at phantomsandmonsters.com. Lon Strickler, it is always great to have you on Spaced Out Radio. You're the best, my friend, and you are a legend.
If you say so.
All right, and I will say so. We have Swamp Dweller, and we have Grant Baker with the UFO report coming up in hour 3.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Great job, my friend. Thank you.
No problem.
All right. You
Anything
enjoy
comes
your
up,
night?
give me a call or let me know.
I will. I'm going to try and find out more from Otto for you. Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to hear a little bit more about that.
I will. I'll see if I can get a recording with him.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Lon Strickler, everybody. One of the greats. One of the greats. So we'll be right back. I am back. Let's bring in the Grantinator. There he is.
What's going on?
How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. How about you?
Dave does this show every day. It's a live radio show, man. We are here daily. Daily. Got nothing better to do.
Yeah.
It's a job. It's a job, and I love it. I do. Love doing this job. Thank you tonight to T-Bone and Lil Cam for our super chats. Appreciate it. And CaribouCon coming on up. As you saw on the screen, if you were listening in on the podcast, go to CaribouCon.com. That's with 2 O's. Caribou, CARIBOO, con.com. Make sure you check it on out. Got great tickets, VIP tickets on sale now for our September 18th through 20th event. Big speakers all over the place. You can see who's speaking. Go check it on out. Here we go. Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We have Swamp Dweller and Grant Baker coming on up here momentarily. But first, we want to say hello to all of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. It is Fascinerous. Fascinerous is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp.
When I was 10, my parents had bought me a Furby for my birthday. It only said the same 3 phrases over and over again. 1. I'm hungry. 2. I'm tired. 3. I love you. After a couple of months of the Furby not being played with, it kept opening its eyes and moving places while I slept. One day, the batteries finally died, and all it did was make a brrr sound. After taking out the batteries, it continued to make noises, so I ran a bath and tossed the Furby in it to try to shut it up. Then I ran over to our microwave and threw the Furby in there to be cooked. As it was being melted, its eyes and mouth flew open as if it was in shock at what I had just did. So this next encounter is a little bit later in life. I was at my ex's house a few years ago. Her sister and her were talking over a few cigarettes. When I walk out, her nephew's Furby he had on the table opened its eyes and started talking about a dark island, and the Furbies lived there in fear of what hid in the dark trying to eat them. Freaked out, we looked at each other to see if it had any batteries. Upon opening it up, we noticed no batteries were even in it, as it continued to say it was in emotional pain and wanted to rescue its friends. I grabbed the Furby and smashed it on the ground. I went into her shed and grabbed a shovel to smash the Furby some more and bury it in the backyard. After that, I have never owned another Furby again. I don't know what was making it malfunction or if it was possessed or what, but honestly, it's one of the creepiest things that I've ever experienced.
Thank you, Swampy, for another creepy story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell. Thousands of stories for you to listen to each and every day and night. You'll never get bored, I promise you. From the swamp to the stars, we got to get to the UFO report. We got Grant Baker on deck.
Staring at the stars tonight. Still shining in the sky. Grant's got the stories breaking through. What hidden now comes into view. From distant lights to secret files, mystery tracks of mountain miles. Revealed every signal slowly peeled. So tune in close, don't miss the facts. UFO facts, we've got your backs. Becomes a song.
All right, let's bring in the trusted one, the voice of the UFOs, Grant Baker. How you doing, buddy?
Doing well, my friend. Good seeing you tonight, and pleased to be here. By far, we got a lot to talk about.
It is always a pleasure to have you here, and there is a lot to talk about because this story that is going on about these missing and deceased scientists is just getting crazy, my man.
Oh, it's not just crazy. It is absolutely philosophical crazy. We're getting to the nitty gritty here, and the list keeps growing. I'm finding out. I just got sent another link to another source that has quite a few other names on there, and I'm currently learning some more about it.
One thing that I have noticed about this entire instance, would we have ever known about it if Major General retired from the United States Air Force, Neil McCaslin, had just vanished? Would we even know that this was going on? But because McCaslin, who was, his name first came into the public through WikiLeaks and his conversations with former government official John Podesta and Tom DeLonge from Blink-182 talking about UFOs, that's how we got McCaslin's name involved with all of this back in 2015, 2016, when those WikiLeaks emails were brought out. I mean, I kind of look at it, my friend, like I'm uncomfortable with this story. I'm very uncomfortable with this story. To me, I love ufology, okay? I love ufology, where we're looking at people, we're talking about their stories, their encounters. Maybe they get a picture, maybe they get a video. But this freaks me out that if this is true, that these people are deceased or have gone missing because of their involvement with UFOs, that just takes this to an entirely different level, Grant.
Oh, 100% agreed. I mean, just looking at Monica Reza, she actually had a different name that she went by as well, a professional name. And once I started digging into her and finding what she was actually developing or had developed, quite a while back about these new metamaterials, one of them called Mondaloy. And then you start really, the rabbit hole is very deep on this one. All these people are tied into, an Air Force base here, or a UFO project here, or some type of somebody that's in aeronautics and space. And it just gets crazy.
Well, let's give a little bit of a history here, because how this story took off was back on February 27th. Former United States Air Force General Neil McCaslin was at home. His wife had gone for a doctor's appointment. A repairman had come over to fix something in their home and then left. His wife was only gone for an hour, but he was gone. His wallet was still there. His eyeglasses were still there. Other items were still there. I believe his watch was still there, but he did take a couple of items, including his revolver. And police feel that, at least publicly, the only real clue that we have is a mile or two down the road, there was a hoodie from the United States Air Force that happened to be thrown on the ground. Now, was that McCaslin's or not? They've never admitted whether or not that is McCaslin's. It was like he vanished into thin air. And the one thing that for people who might be brand new to this story, McCaslin had a multi-billion-dollar brain. I think that's a fair comment to make. He knew about secret technologies the U.S. was developing. He knew about weaponry, weapon systems. He knew about UFOs. He knew a lot about a lot that we don't see in our everyday lives. And then you find out that Monica Reza, his assistant, went missing 7 months earlier while out on a hike in California, which is a fair distance from New Mexico, but still very close. And the weird part about that was he was allegedly named as being deceased and had a funeral. Her family allegedly had a funeral while search and rescue were still looking for her body or her being alive but injured. You want to say something on that, Grant?
There is. So when she disappeared, she was with two experienced buddies. And according to them, she was 30 feet behind them, waved, and then poof, never seen again. That quick.
That part I didn't know. That part I didn't know.
There's no trace, no body, despite all the searches. And she was an avid hiker. So, I mean, you would think that 30 feet away. And so I'm telling you right now, I don't know what's listening in my home, but I turn on my YouTube today and there's these guys that are doing dirt bike out in the dunes. And one of them just was right with them and all of a sudden became missing, found him. And then like two other people went missing randomly. And they were all together in a pack. And they're out on dunes. So
here's a list of some of the names that have disappeared or have been found deceased. Outside of Reza and McCaslin, MIT fusion physicist Nuno Loureiro was shot and killed in December 2025 at his home. Caltech astrophysicist Carl Grillmeyer was fatally shot February 16th of this year at his home. Novartis scientist Jason Thomas, his body was found in March this year after disappearing in December. Now, I believe they have now added another name to that list. I haven't found the name of the person, but it is a lady who was a scientist. You got her name, Grant?
There was two of them, actually, and the same guy went from one place to another to get them both. And they apprehended him as well. Two women, two locations, one night, and then he unalived himself in front of a camera. It's not fully verified yet. The gentleman's name is Jacob. Not only did he take out his own wife, Jamie, at their home in Huber Heights, Ohio, he put her in the trunk, drove over to Sugar Creek Township, where First Lieutenant Jamie Gustitis, Gustitus, 25 years old, unalived her, drove to the West Milton Municipal Building parking lot where the safety exchange is there, opened the trunk so responding officers would find them, and then unalived himself on camera. And they were both tied. They were both confirmed employees of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which, as
where
everybody knows,
McCaslin and Reza did a lot of their work. Now, here's the other thing, too. The majority of these scientists that have gone missing or unalived themselves or been found deceased, they all had something in common. And that was they all testified in front of Congress, the majority of them privately. You didn't see it not in the congressional hearings that are on camera. but they all testified to Congress about UFOs. And I believe it was Tim Burchett who brought that up. That it was Tim Burchett on the Benny Johnson podcast, where Burchett said, something dark is going on. I know these scientists and researchers. They have testified. We've got to get to the bottom of it. It's just too much. Too much is going on right now. And by the way, I'm not suicidal. And that comes off of about a week or two later, after Representative Eric Burleson finished a statement saying that he was not suicidal and that he had been having his life threatened about going down certain paths. I mean, this is real time here, my friend. Real time.
You got to put that stuff out in the public and warn people. And they're going down these paths, especially with as many, all these people. I just that one guy, Grillmar. I went and dug down in his path real quick, and it's insane. If I was them, I would be saying that on TV or any kind of national news or outlet, social media, wherever. Just let people know, like, look, if I disappear, it's not because I did it on my own. Something happened to me. And it's insurance, basically. Well, you're not completely, going to be insured against something like that. But, I mean, this is dark stuff. And especially the timing of it. The timing of it is just critical, And now it's all coming to light when everything's in the news again, with Obama and Trump, and then, the general, and then we find out about Monica, and then this, just this young people but have these ties. The astronomer, that's Carl Grillmar. He spent 30 years at Caltech Infrared Processing and Analyze Center. Like, the dude knew his stuff. If you went down that rabbit hole, it's fun to read what he did. He published 147 peer-reviewed papers, and it's crazy how these people are getting unalived. It is absolutely wild. It is literally like someone is just going down a list. Okay, this guy said this, or this guy said that. They have ties here. We're just going to mop up the whole crew. It's what it sounds like. Complete, psyops almost.
Well, one of the things that I have noticed with this story as well is just the timeline. The timeline is so tight. Like, this has been since June of last year. All these people have vanished or have been found no longer with us. That I don't understand. Like, this is way above my pay scale in understanding this. And it's got so much attention now with the mainstream media. This is a story, Grant, where 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, this wouldn't even be a media story because UFOs were involved.
Yeah.
Okay. And now people are paying attention. That's way too much. I mean, yes, people die every day. What is it? Something like 8,900 Americans die a day. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay. People die. You're going to die. I'm going to die. We're all going to die one day. It sucks to say because it scares the hell out of me saying that. Okay. But it's going to happen. And the idea that I'm thinking about this is, okay, when you get so much coincidence, eventually coincidence leads to a different path. We're talking about one of the greatest new conspiracies of all time right now, playing out in real time. And they all have UFOs in common. And this is why we now see Congress now investigating this. They want a full-on investigation about what's happening to these scientists. Where's McCaslin? Where's Reza? Where are they? I mean, this is getting very real when all of a sudden Congress, who's trying to get to the bottom of this whole UFO story, now has a wrench thrown in. And now it makes me think, at times people talk, okay? Politicians like to exaggerate. We all know that. When Burleson came out and said, I got threatened, they threatened my life. I'm like, oh God, here we go. Here we go. Typical politician talking. But now, after seeing all of this happen, now it's like, holy cow. Is this actually real? Is this what's going on? Do we have some sort of Clinton count on this?
Ooh, haven't heard that for a while.
Right?
I mean,
I say that in jest.
Okay.
I say that in jest, but I mean, it also makes you wonder about all of these people who talk, Grant, about this secret shadow government that is controlling this subject. Are they the ones pulling the strings on this, or is it all coincidence?
I don't think it's coincidence by any means. The timeline's too tight, especially the one with the Gilmar guy. When you look at exactly what happened there, because there's actually a paper trail on that one with the gentleman that ended up getting him. It's more people are involved in this than what we know, especially with the terms and conditions of how that happened to him. And then you look back on it in a very tight few days, what happened to the guy that ended up taking him out. And then you see that he violated so many laws, almost got in trouble for it, let out, and again he was back on that guy's front porch to do this. And it's just like, what in the world? And these people are just, I mean, every single one of them are the thread is just too clean. It's not a zigzag line anymore. It's a pretty straightforward. All these people are a part of some sort of government agency. They all have common links. They all have specialized fields, and yeah, no, they're trying to hush everything that's going on. They don't want the truth out, and I believe that. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I wholeheartedly now, after reading everything that I've read up on this so far, it's getting almost picture crystal clear where that's exactly what they're doing. I mean, and when you get like Burchett and them going to the FBI about it and saying, hey, you need to do a deep dive on this. And there's other outlets like Daily Mail, New York Post, News Nation, Ross Coulthart even, and they're all talking about it. It's like, this needs some attention. We need to figure out what the heck is really going on here.
I think we're getting to a point with this happening that we're getting to a point where I think the other side, if there is some sort of shadow government going on with this, okay, we're getting to the point where they're saying, see what we can do? Allegedly. Yeah. See what we can do? See what we have the ability to do at any time, anywhere, anyhow. We could make it loud or we could make it real quiet. And it's a very uncomfortable story. Like I don't even like talking about it, but we have to because it's UFO news. I don't even like talking about it though. It makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's super. There's no smoking gun. It's the only problem. We don't have a confirmed cover up. We don't have a smoking gun. There's ongoing investigations. I mean, I wish details would drop on this, but until we figure it out, especially when you're 30 feet behind a couple of your mates, and then all of a sudden, poof, you're gone. Like what? How does that happen?
We'll find out when we come back with Grant Baker. We're going to get into more UFO news.
This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Dave Scott.
All right.
Sweet.
Excuse me.
Dude, some of these are just ridiculous. If you read what these people actually did, gosh.
Yeah, that's the one Terry sent to you.
No, I'm using other notes. I do have that one as well.
Yeah.
That one's wild. So that's where I got most of the Grillmar, the Caltech guy, the astrophysicist.
Yeah.
I mean, all these people are high clearance. High clearance.
Yeah, it's scary, dude.
The thing is, they don't even know if it's just 5 cases in the last 9 months. They might think it's a little bit more, but they're trying
Courtney
to.
Marcassani did a list up of 61 or 62 people.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Not recently, but over the years. It includes recently.
Ugh.
Got about 4 minutes.
Okay.
How was your weekend?
It was tough actually. I mean, it was good, and just trying, rehabilitate myself without going through rehabilitation until I get into it on the 9th. I think I'm just trying to, fix myself. Ugh. If I can fix my sock, that'd be great.
That's good.
Yeah, they got me out of the boot. Well, I'm not out of it. It's right here, but anytime I'm horizontal, stay out of the boot. And I said, okay. And then they took all the stuff off so I could see my foot full and clear. And it's pretty neat looking.
Man.
Those nice purple lines won't go away for a while, but whatever.
Well, you know what? You gotta be careful carrying around that toe gout that you got.
I gotta maintain it. Ugh.
You should probably go buy a new vehicle for this.
I know. I thought about it actually. I was just driving my big truck today, my big black diesel truck. And I was like, you know what? I really don't need this. I have another vehicle that'll pull my trailer no problem. In fact, probably better than that truck. And I was like, I have 3 trucks. I can get rid of one. Then I started looking into Volkswagen Beetles for my daughter because she wants to get rid of the Jeep. And I'm probably just going to go buy her one and then keep the Jeep for myself. But that might be I might end up just doing that. That way I don't have to spend too much money. She just has to have a stick shift.
Got about a minute and 45, dude.
Sweet. Everybody smash that like button like it owes you money.
Right? Yes.
I already did tonight.
Well,
Are we at 100 yet?
I don't know. I can't see. I don't see the thumbs up till after.
126. Good job, guys. Heck yeah. 128 now. Look at you guys go.
Oh,
That's
look
awesome.
At that. Would you look at that?
Yeah. For every like, I'll take a drink of my cherry soda. The ice is melted in it, so I can kind of see.
I'm still excited about the fact that you're sending me straws.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna hate me though when you get them.
Why?
You haven't clicked on the link yet and seen exactly what it sent you.
Oh God, I'll get there.
Oh, 2 more.
I'll get there. Take a look here.
I wish that wasn't flat. That'd be great.
You mean the tracking code?
Oh, I gave you the tracking code, but it tells you what I actually bought too.
I have to look.
131, damn. I wish I had a brewski I could sit there.
Doesn't show me anything.
No. Let me do it this way then.
All right. Here we go, buddy.
All right.
We're into the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Our good friend Grant Baker is here with the UFO report. And we're going from a disturbing topic, which is the missing and deceased scientists, to something a little bit more fun, something we all love to talk about. It looks like Bob Lazar is about to become much more well-known once again.
Yes, I love it. I'm super excited about this one, actually. Anything that has to do with Bob Lazar, I am a fan of. I've kind of been watching this guy ever since he came out. I remember when I was a kid is when him and Knapp came out with what his story was. And the cool thing about it is he's never really changed it up. And from the pictures that he's drawn and then actually seeing like actual photographs of the palm scanners to Element 115, it's just been an awesome story throughout time. And, you know, with all the investigative work that many people have done, they've actually verified, yes, this guy was at Los Alamos. He was over here at S4. He was, you know, and just kept going on. And they tried to erase him. And the big, you know, he went on Rogan. I watched that. I think Jeremy Corbell was on with him on that one. Everything he's ever done. I'm super excited to see what they come up with this one. I did read that it was tied in with Rogan at some point there, though. Do you have an idea of what that might be?
Well, the last time Joe Rogan had our good friend Bob Lazar, I call him a good friend. I believe it or not, did you know I spoke to him once?
Oh, I did too. Yeah, I didn't know you did though. When did you do that?
After our SOR fan party in Vegas, what was it, 2 years ago? Jim Goodall drove up to Oregon.
Oh yeah,
in your area to go meet with Bob.
Yeah, I even offered to make him some steak dinner. He's literally like 20 minutes down the road from me.
Yes, and so when I called Jim afterwards to make sure he got to Oregon okay, he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "In fact, I'm sitting on Bob's couch right now, and it happened to be my birthday." So I said to Jim, I said, "Would it be okay if I talk to Bob since it's my birthday?" And I said, "Jim, I don't ask for much, but I would love to be able to talk to Bob on my birthday and just say hello." And so he goes, "Sure, Bob would love that." So he goes, "Bob, this is my good friend Dave Scott, and he's from Spaced Out Radio. I do his show all the time. I was just in Vegas with him. And he's one of my best friends in this field, and it's his birthday, and he'd love to be able to say hi to you." And Bob's like, "Absolutely, let's talk about, you know." And I was like, "This is Bob effing Lazar."
You fanboyed.
Bob effing Lazar, right? So, I mean, that's kind of the way I looked at it. Like I was starstruck, you know. You're Bob Lazar. You know, I mean, what are you supposed to do with that?
Yeah, I'll tell you. So his shop is literally 10 minutes from my house. He owns a shop where I live. And I knew one day, I forgot who I was on the phone with. I might have even texted you about it. Hey, Bob Lazar's behind me in a car. That was like the closest I've gotten to him. I've seen him in his shop many times. And I haven't seen him recently, but he's in there all the time. One day I parked in front of this little mini mart or the big grocery store right next to a shop. And he walked right in front of my big truck And I was hurrying. You have no idea how fast I got my seatbelt off. As soon as I seen him, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I got out of the truck. I said, hey, Bob. And he stopped and turned around. I said, hey, man, I just wanted to say thank you for everything you've done for the community. He's like, yeah, no problem. What's your name? I said, oh, I'm Grant Baker. And, I just wanted to say hi to you. And he goes, oh, it's nice meeting you. And he shook my hand, and super nice guy. Like, he has no problem just talking to random people. Like, it didn't even phase him.
Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I've heard good things about him, that he's just a really nice guy. Just a really nice guy.
Good tipper, too. Found that out.
So apparently, former guest on this show, Luigi Venditelli, made a documentary called S4. And he's done it with Chris Ramsey, a couple of good Canadian Montreal boys, putting this film together. And it's kind of Bob telling his stories through reenactments and 3D and AI. And it is apparently going to be incredible. This movie gets released on April 3rd. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm excited about it. I am very excited about it. I love everything Bob Lazar. I really do. Now, you talk to people who have either worked there or know people who worked at Area 51. Bob Lazar is either the biggest joke, or he's somebody who is so far deep that nobody knows whether or not he existed there. I've heard from alleged people that have been, not personally, this is secondhand information. I've heard from people who claim that they have worked at the base for 30 plus years, and they never knew who Bob Lazar was. They never saw him on a Janet jet. They never saw him, get off the plane and walk around the base. But also, there are different sections to it. So Area 51 is its own base. Papoose Lake and S4 is a different base. There are dozens of different bases, maybe even hundreds, we don't know, of different bases at Area 50, at Nellis Air Force Range around Area 51. So your thoughts, Grant?
I agree with that completely. Especially with the fact that there is a small paper trail that you can go down and find, okay, he was really there, including one guy that actually had his W-2, or one of his check stubs or pay stubs. And we've got all the information. He was definitely there. I mean, the dude has, once you start listening to him and seeing what he does in real life, and you realize that, yeah, this is what he does. He was definitely a scientist. He is definitely a scientist. You see his shop, it is ridiculous. It is if you're a scientist, you would love it. And no, like, I believe wholeheartedly the S4, if you went on the Janet jet, there's probably how many of those leaving every night or every day? He could have been on one that was just like clockwork, and the people that they talked to were on a different one that was on their time. Oh, I got to go to work now. Okay, well, there's different shifts, people, and there's different facilities that you're going to be working at. And it was so compartmentalized that, he went into, okay, well, let's figure out what propulsion system this is, and theoretical elements and all this jazz that he was working in, to the point where he wasn't even told when he actually went inside one of the saucers, what the other people that were there doing. He wasn't allowed to speak to anybody. And he had a time frame where he said, okay, I need to understand the context, where this sat, to understand what it might do. And so they allowed him in there, and there happened to be other people. Don't talk to them. Like, that's what they did. So, of course, if you have one guy that was on the other side of the base mopping a hallway or working on an electronic schematic system or whatever, they're not going to meet. So it makes complete sense that a lot of these people wouldn't know who he is. But the paper trail says otherwise. He was definitely there. I mean, the guy was a propulsions guy. I have seen personally the jet-powered bike that he created. I've seen it with my own eyes. I was less than 20 feet from it in my town. Like the guy is wild. It's awesome. I love him. And I'm a fanboy. I'm sorry. I will believe Bob till the day I'm gone. That's just my take.
I just don't think that he would make it up. I really don't think that he would make it up. Nobody in their right mind would want that type of notoriety.
That's what I was just going to say.
Okay. It's like Patterson and Giblin. They made nothing off of the movie of Patty the Sasquatch. They made nothing off of it. The only thing they got out of it was notoriety. Some most good, some bad. That's it. Right? They're not millionaires over it. They aren't. I mean, Bob Lazar will be in a different category. The only thing that strikes me a little bit odd is this is a guy, and this is one that I can't figure out. This is a guy who leaked the term Area 51 because nobody talked about this secret base called Area 51 or S4 in the 80s. Bob did, though. He goes public about it, protects himself through media when media actually did his job. And George Knapp really, really helped him out with that. But what troubles me about it, and one of the mystery pieces that I don't understand, Grant, is that Bob Lazar, when he started his company, what is it, United Nuclear?
Exactly.
I believe. He got government contracts. If he screwed the government badly over this, and the government has always denied that he worked there, and he made a mockery of it, let alone, with John Lear and everybody else, okay, outed Area 51, why would he get government contracts?
Exactly it.
That doesn't make sense to me.
And not only that, but if you go to a storefront right now, and if you want, I will, when I'm able to get up and out, I will take a video. I will walk right in front of the store and show you what the signs say. It is not open to the public. I am not allowed inside that shop. I have been within the breezeway of it, the first store, but there's two. And you are not allowed to go inside that shop. Tells you a lot. You can order from him if you guys want to. He's got some cool stuff in there. But yeah, no. The guy, I mean, here's a good way to look at it. There was, like I mentioned before, that palm scan. He had told people about it. Then I forget exactly which reporter showed him an actual photograph of that palm scan, and he had a genuine visceral reaction to that photograph. He knew exactly what it was. And he's like, I didn't even think they had these anymore. And they're like, yeah, there's one at this Air Force base down here. There's only one. It's for a secured door. And we procured a photograph of it just to see what you would say. And sure enough, I mean, it was genuine. You can see that he recognized that right off the bat. He's been there. He was there. He's not lying. He's too nice of a guy.
Why are we still so fascinated about his story 36, 37 years later?
A few reasons. One, he, like I'm a nuts and bolts guy. Some people are part of the dimensional stuff or whatever. I'm a nuts and bolts. I believe that there are physical craft, and it's kind of like reading the Hardy Boys. It's an adventure, and we all want an adventure. We live vicariously through other people's stories in some cases. That's how YouTube became so popular. And when you have something that's so fantastic, I worked on the propulsion system on a spacecraft that is not a part of this world, with exotic metals and exotic this and miniature chairs, and people will gravitate towards that. It's not only a novelty, but it's also answering a little bit of that itch that we've always had throughout all of human life. including thousands of years ago. Are we the only ones? Are we alone? Where do we come from? That is something that we're constantly doing. And when you have a little tidbit of information or a fairy tale in some people's eyes, or even just a story of, hey, I did this or I seen that, people listen to it. And so many people will gravitate towards those. I go out in the public, I wear a Sasquatch shirt. People are like, oh man, and they automatically start telling me the story. It's ingrained in us. We want to know what's out there. We know more about Saturn right now than we do what's under our own oceans. And because the ocean's here, it's right close to us. Saturn's far away. What's out there? You got megaliths on Mars, and it hits the media and people gravitate towards it. It's that, who else is out there? Who can we shake hands with? Say, hey, we're your galactic neighbors. Or in certain cases, like our military, how do we weaponize what you got? We see your cars, but what else do you got? And it just goes on and on. And so I think that realistically, humans are going to want to know, are aliens real? Are we alone in the universe? You worked on one of their spacecrafts. What do they look like? I didn't see them, but I know they're small. It's awesome. It's one of those things that if true capital D disclosure happened and it was like Star Trek and we all got along together and had different species from different dimensions or planets all in one ship or one Earth, at that point, what else are we looking for? I think it's just how do we survive longer, or where did we come from? And it might even be answered in that all-inclusive topic.
I find it fascinating that the longevity of this story, and yet people look at his criminal record, okay, because he was busted in a brothel scam with video cameras or something along those lines. To me, that doesn't mean anything compared to the story. That doesn't take away his work at Area 51, okay, or at S4 or whatever. We want to know about the sports model.
Yep.
We wouldn't know about the sports model if he hadn't said it.
That's completely true.
I mean, he still is relevant today as he was 37 years ago.
Well, it's not only do we want to see the sports model? Yes, I would love to see it. Everybody's got dirt. I don't care who you are. You made a mistake somewhere that you might be ashamed of. It's called skeletons in the closet. And he just had one. It's just like anybody else. Anybody, especially that's in the limelight where millions of people are going to be looking at this, you're always going to have those people that dig up dirt. Doesn't matter how small it is. And then it's going to be mediaized and blown out of proportion. And that's the way it works. It's kind of a horrific way to look at it, but and that's how they're going to try to take him down. I mean, if you listen to the story, what happened with the phone calls being tapped and his wife and that whole thing, him thinking he was going to get fired or in trouble, started taking friends out to the desert to watch these things. He knew when they were going to be there, what they were going to be doing. And there's people that admitted to that. Yeah, we went out there and seen these with him. He proved it. He 100% proved everything that he talked about, everything that he told us. So the brothel thing, whatever. It's a mistake. He probably is, feels a little, it's in the past. Who cares?
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great production. It already looks in the trailer that is out there right now. It looks incredible. Imagine going from we're all pumped up about George Lucas, not George Lucas, sorry. What's his name now? Why did I just forget his name?
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yes. Why did I just forget his name?
Now you made me forget it.
Oh,
and everybody
feel
is listening is screaming at us.
I feel like such a moron right now. And as stupid as it is, I want to say George Steinbrenner, but it's not the owner of the Yankees, darn. Steven Spielberg, not even George. Steven Spielberg. Thank you. Okay. When we think Steven Spielberg, and Disclosure Day coming up, which many of us are actually thinking that, at least me hoping, fingers crossed, that even though it said it's not supposed to be a sequel to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, you're kind of just hoping that it is. You know what I'm saying? You're kind of hoping that it is. And now all of a sudden, a couple months earlier, boom, now we get the Bob Lazar S4 story coming out. I don't spend money on movies. I refuse to spend money on movies. Okay? But this one I will. This one I will. I want to see this movie.
I want to see both of them. I think both of them are going to be great. And not on top of that. So here's the cool thing about S4 is Bob Lazar is going to narrate this movie himself.
Yes,
that's
he does.
What's awesome. And then the Steven Spielberg movie, Disclosure Day, with what I've gotten out of it and what I've seen and a little bit of a deep dive on that, is it's not so much a sequel. It's just because what happened in Close Encounters is, in some people's minds, especially with how he got his information, was kind of a representation of what had already happened. And this one is going to be, so that was like, okay, I made a movie about what's already happened. This is a movie where a lot of people are speculating that is going to happen. So it's a little bit different direction. I can't wait for both. I think you're right. I'm going to actually pay for these movies and watch them both.
And then prior to that, coming up here soon, Bob Lazar will be back on Joe Rogan, the Joe Rogan podcast. Lazar was one of his highest rated shows ever.
Mm-hmm.
So expect that to happen again. Grant, thank you very much for coming on Spaced Out Radio for the UFO Report. Great job as always. As we say good night to the Maximus and hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Saul. Rocket in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friend,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. The sheets are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job, Grantavius.
Hell yeah, good job to you too, bud. Tonight was fun. It's been the best part of my weekend. Oh man. Dude, I'm so excited about these goddamn movies. It's not even funny.
Let's go here. There we go. No, go back here. There we go. Oh, good, man. It's all good.
All right. Now I sent you the link so you can see what I sent you. And it's a little bit of a joke. I don't want you to get mad, but they're non-disposable.
I know you got metal straws. Either way, it's going to be better than them stupid paper ones that you can't even have a good milkshake with. Oh yeah.
It's okay. I got you some bendy straws coming too. Some actual bendy straws.
Oh, how do you love me?
They were $1.97. It cost more to ship them to your house than it did for the actual product.
Oh my God. Don't make me feel guilty.
No, I'm not worried about it. Hey, $6 to ship them up to you. That's cheap.
The happiness you are providing me right now.
You're going to be the straw conglomerate. You're literally going to find all your friends and be like, I'll sell you a plastic straw. Bendy straw, $2.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. Look, I like the environment. I like that we're trying to do better for the environment and everything like that. But when you have a grocery store filled with plastic, your bread comes in plastic, your grapes come in plastic, okay? Everything comes in plastic. Your cottage cheese comes in plastic. All right? Everything comes in plastic. Your detergent comes in plastic. Your toothpaste comes in plastic. Everything comes in plastic. And you're worried about a fucking straw?
Well, the problem is it's different countries that are doing it. That huge landmass of trash that's out in the Pacific, or
I get that.
But that, or the Atlantic, or wherever the hell it's at. That's that. Yeah, it's not really coming from Canada or Alaska or the United States. It's coming from different countries because they're just throwing shit right down into the drink.
I understand that, but you take that one video away, okay, and got that famous video of the turtle,
yep,
with the straw up its nose. Okay, maybe I'm making fun here. Maybe it had a cocaine habit. We don't know. Okay, maybe it did.
It's a badass turtle.
All right, because it looks like it was in the Caribbean.
It probably was.
Okay, and I'm pretty sure that there's been a few boats and submarines sunk, and a few $1 billion worth of the nose candy that's gone into the Gulf of Mexico. Okay. But because of Coke turtles, I have to pay the price, and I can't get a milkshake at McDonald's because the damn paper straw doesn't work. You talk about the chemicals that are in the straw, the plastics and everything in the straw, but nobody talks about the chemicals that you're ingesting that they put into the paper that go directly into your mouth when the straw starts to get wet.
Yep. The glue.
The glues and all the other stuff. Okay. That's all I'm saying. We're a bunch of hypocrites on it.
Yeah, dude. There's a place here in town that is one of those, and I hate to use the term, but they're actually I can't use that term. They're vegans on a mission to have everything that's biodegradable. We'll just put it that way. And you order something and they give you these paper cups, like paper cups. You have to drink whatever they give you, which is always these weird concoctions, mushroom soda or whatever it is. But you have to drink them quick because it'll blow right through that paper, the bottom of it. It'll just get soaked. There's no lining in them. And they give you this damn paper straw. And as soon as you try to take a drink through it, and I've tried, it literally aerates whatever you're sucking through it because there's holes in it because it's freaking paper. It's like, dude, come on, man. It's like, let's go. Use some good stuff.
I get you.
Use stainless steel. Just give all your patrons stainless steel cups and say, hey, when you're done drinking it, throw it in the buckets. We'll wash it and clean them out tonight and soak them in bleach. Use them raw. Like, Jesus.
It drives me crazy, man. Drives me crazy.
I will tell you, there was that one gal. I forgot what. Oh, it was Joe Rogan. Damn it! And I was on one of my drives from Grants Pass to Klamath Falls, and I listened to that stupid pod. I wish it never did. And it's that lady talking about how the taints of men are getting smaller and microplastics are killing us all. And right, you know what I literally did? I went home. It scared the living daylights out of me. I went home and I told my wife, I said, that's it. Everything we buy is going to be either cast iron. I don't care. My wife doesn't like Lodge. She wants the good shit from like 1980 older, maybe even the 1800s.
In other words, you got cupboards full of Corningware dishes.
So everything is Corningware, everything is glass, or cast iron or stainless steel, and that is it. No Teflon, none of that anti-scratch crap, nothing. Like nothing. If it's not stainless or glass, I don't drink out of it. It's wild. I even got to the point where I quit buying soda pops, and I still drink a couple out of the aluminum containers. There's one that I just can't kick the habit of. In fact, I got one right here. It's this stupid yerba mate. I love these things, but I haven't found them in glass yet. And once I find them in glass, I know they sell them. Then I'm switching over to that. That's my last hoorah when it comes to aluminum as well. I'm already an idiot. I don't need aluminum to make me worse and forget everything when I'm 60. I get scared. It is what it is. It's the reason why I bought you the straws I did.
I have many straws coming. You have no idea how you're going to get over that.
Oh, they're so funny too. They have so many colors, and then I bought. You'll see. you messed up when you sat there and did that blurb the other night about straws. I was like, oh, he's in trouble. I'm sending him straws.
Oh man, I had a new pet peeve. I was going to mention it tonight, then I forgot.
Okay, hold on, everybody. Dave's pet peeve 101. Go.
Hold on, I got to remember it. Now I'm editing.
Oh shit. Okay. Here's a pet peeve of mine, and it has to do with my kids. And I love my kids. Don't get me wrong. And every single one of my children have gone through it. And I have a brand new, 5-month-old that's going to go through it as well. Touching the inside of my freaking windows in my cars.
Ah, yes. You mentioned that one. You mentioned that one.
That one kills me.
You know what drives me nuts about my son? He has this, and he's had it for years. He loves cardboard boxes.
Oh, my 7-year-old's like that right now.
Yeah. My son loves cardboard boxes. So he had a buddy over the other day. All right. Or when I was in San Francisco, there's still a 5-foot tall stack of boxes sitting right beside my fridge by my kitchen. And I'm like, dude, like, what are we doing here? Right? I told him again today, I'm like, buddy, like, lose the boxes.
Yeah, no, those are important, Dad.
Oh, man, the kid just loves his cardboard.
You can buy him a $599 PlayStation 5 and he'll play with the box.
My boy, I'll tell you, I'm not rushing my boy. He doesn't have a PlayStation, doesn't have an Xbox. He's got a VR headset. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his iPad.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I want him to enjoy his time as a kid. Like he's still very much him and his couple of buddies, they're very much into playing with dinosaurs or Transformers or whatever,
What about sticks? Did your son ever bring sticks in the house and want to keep them?
He did when he was younger.
Yeah.
I don't know how many sticks were in my vehicle.
Yeah. or rocks.
Right. I will say this though. We're going to have a little chat with him soon about whether or not he wants to go to high school.
Yeah.
You know, the school here is very notorious for a lot of drug use.
Yep, I got one of those.
And a lot of bullying at this school.
Yep.
And knowing my son the way I know him, he's a tough kid, but he's also a kid that struggles standing up for himself.
Oh.
Right. And I'm trying to get that. I'm going to see if I can get him in like jujitsu or something. There's a jujitsu course here.
I just put my 7-year-old through that. And he's been through it for a year and a half now. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's a good choice. The reason why is jiu-jitsu itself is a defensive, not an offensive art. And it gets that struggle and that excess energy and built up tension out of them. And it works. Dude, it's more of a after school program / jiu-jitsu class / all this other stuff. And I pay quite a fee to get him in there because every day he's there until 5 o'clock when we go get him. And so from 3 to 5 he's there for 2 hours every day, Monday through Friday. But every Tuesday and Friday, I'm sorry, they just changed it, Wednesday and Friday they do jiu-jitsu. And this kid can damn near beat me up now. And he's 7. It's not saying a lot, people.
Well, I think it would be wonders for his confidence.
It does.
But we're debating right now, and if he wants to go to high school or if he wants to be homeschooled.
So I have one kid homeschooled, and he did better. So he went through. It's a school called Ponderosa. No offense to anybody that works there as a teacher or a principal. In fact, I'm really good friends with the principal. We sit out on the yacht and we have drinks all the time. But anyways, the school itself, though, the kids there are just, oh my gosh, fighting, bullying, all that. So my oldest son, who's now almost 16, he went through that school, and now he's vaping and smoking and all that, and I can't control him. And he's at his mom's house because he knows here he can't do that. But then my daughter right now is going through that same exact school, straight A's, doesn't give a crap about anybody that's there, is doing great. And it might just be testosterone versus estrogen there. Like, she just has a wholly different outlook on life than my son. My son took my path, unfortunately. I told him not to do it. He did it anyway.
He did it anyways.
I love him, and I tell him, I was like, listen, when you're at your mom's house, I can't control what happens there. But when you're at my house, my property line is my boundary line. You will abide by my rules. And smoking, no. Vaping, no. I know you're 16. You're going to experiment. Have you had wine? Yes. We figured that out because we had to find something in his room the other day, and we found a little cup that had wine in the bottom of it that was half dry. So we know that he's been experimenting, but it's one of those deals where I know when life literally just straightens him up and just whacks him in the face and he gets a good dose of it, he might come around. He's a smart freaking kid. That's the problem. That dude is intelligent, like no one's business. So I'm thinking he'll come around.
I just want my boy to start playing guitar again. He was getting really good.
Oh. When's the next time you're down?
Down with you?
In the lower 48, yeah.
I don't know why.
I got something for you. You kids into guitars?
Oh, we got guitars.
Oh, I got something for you though. Yeah, I'll build you another package. Let me send you something else in a little bit. I'll get him back into guitars for you.
Yeah.
I love guitars. I love guitars. I've been playing since I was 15. My most expensive guitar right now is a 1987 ESP Mirage. It's custom Mirage, but it was a lawsuit guitar. It was the one that they built. They got sued over, and they had to quit building them. So they only built so many of them, and I got one. And
Oh,
that
nice.
guitar is actually worth more than some of my cars.
Nice.
Oh yeah, but I got some for you. I'll send it to you. I just gave the same package to my son, and even though he's doing stupid stuff, he's ripping on the guitar, and he's only a year and a half into it. That kid's doing good.
I'll show you.
Give him a hobby.
I'll see if I can find the image of my son's guitar here. 1 second here.
I just bought another guitar, actually. I got a really beautiful Teton right now that's just stupid. I'm almost scared to touch it. It's a beautiful guitar.
I bet. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just looking for.
No, I understand.
See if I can just find it on Jackson's website.
I like Jackson guitars. They're good. I got a lot of Ibanez though. Lots of Ibanez. Holy mackerel. So my daughter wanted to play a bass guitar, and I bought her it was a cheap one. It was like $800.
Yeah.
Ibanez bass. And then the components inside it did something funky to me. So I sent it off, and that was like last year, and they still have that guitar. I'm like, dude, what are you guys doing? Fix it. Bring it back. Let's go.
Yeah, this one's kind of like it's almost like a Gibson Juggernaut or a Jackson Juggernaut, except the body is really cool on it, man.
Is it a full size?
Yeah, I'll just go get it. 1 sec.
All right. Sweet, man. I got to see this. Hell yeah. Love guitars. Sorry, everybody. We're talking guitars tonight, I guess. Here, let me do this. I'll pull up mine. Heat on. Can't stop for shit. Pop-ups, love them. Featured guitars sold out, of course. Let's see what you got here. The little 5 series. Let's go.
Here.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Give me a second here. Yeah, so there's the headstock on it. And then the body there.
Oh, that's so smooth too. I love the finish. Such a nice guitar.
It's a rough finish too, eh?
Yeah.
And then it's got the battery pack you got to put in here. So
I love it, man.
Kind of cool.
I love it. Let me see if I can find the
fast guitar.
Yeah, I bought a they call it the Grand Concerto.
Yeah.
And it's an acoustic electric. And I decided I was just going to go full tilt boogie with this thing. I ended up, so I have a lot of musical instruments in my house. I had a Yamaha trumpet that was worth a lot. And so I went down to the music store and I said, I want this guitar. And he's like, oh yeah, you know, and I was like, hey, do you guys buy musical instruments? He's like, yeah, we can even do trades, you know, like, what do you got? And I showed him this trumpet. He's like, oh shit, And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, you want the guitar? And I'm like, I'll trade that trumpet for the guitar in a case with a couple of accessories. And he's like, sold. I was like, sweet.
Nice.
And so I walked out with a fully just loaded hard plastic guitar case, nice one too, with this badass Teton in it. And I was like, oh my gosh. The problem is it's so nice though. It would be my stage guitar if I ever went back on stage. I probably won't, but yeah, you know what? I got it. I bought it for myself when Bo passed, or
Very
Jen
nice.
bought it for me. Actually, I guess we traded for it.
Very nice. All right, buddy. We're going to wrap this thing up here. Tomorrow
Awesome.
night on the show, Carter Bouchard will be here to talk about his Sasquatch findings, and we'll get his opinion on the Patterson Gimlin. We're going to do a lot of that coming up here in the next week. And thank you to T-Bone ×2, Little Cam on YouTube as well for the great super chats. If you haven't already, do us a favor, hit subscribe, ring that bell, and don't forget to follow us on the podcast. Let me know how you guys felt about tonight's show. What do you think about those Bigfoot stories? Being that child being abducted by Bigfoot, okay, then brought back. How scary is that? Let me know. Leave a comment below. We'd greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you tomorrow night. Good night, everybody. Good night, Granter.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.